We're rolling.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
Where'd you been?
Episode 98 of the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast.
98.
Brought to you by Black Belt Digital Marketing. Anything that you need to build your business, on or offline, website design, Google Ads, graphic design, printing, we can help. Check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram or our website, bbdigitalmarketing.com. You can request a free review of your entire online presence today. My name is Milton Campus. I'm a 3-stripe brown belt.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Do I have to update the call out then?
Yeah, and you have to update my little guy, my little caricature. We got to get some
another
stripes
piece
on
of
him.
tape on it?
You have the one. You just got to get the one that has the one on it, and then put the other
I
two.
just have to multiply it.
You had given it to me before the purple belt to brown. It had a stripe. Yeah. You can fix it. You know what you got to do. Thank you. Bo behind the camera.
Hola.
Miguel riding shotgun.
What's up, everybody?
Shout out to our booking manager, Britt.
What up, Britt? Doing Lucha Libre stuff on the
Don't
Instagram.
forget to like, comment, share. Click that subscribe button. Get the little notifications. Click that little bell. Click get the notifications.
Do everything
on YouTube, and you'll find out, or you'll get a notification when we launch an episode or a video. We really appreciate the support. So we're back to doing stripes.
Yeah,
it was very weird.
it happens.
The professor wasn't there, but our professors and coaches were there. I guess they got the okay to do it, and we hadn't done stripes for a really long time. The last time I got a stripe was one stripe. Again, he had done a caricature of me in the Ghee.
Yeah.
I had one stripe on my purple belt. That was the last time I got a stripe. Then
you got a brown belt.
Then I got a brown belt. And
now they gave you 3 stripes at once.
They gave me 3 stripes
Did
at once.
you know you were going to get 3?
Is there some confusion
or
here?
is he just putting them on? And so the first one got put on, you're like, sweet. And then he goes for round 2, and you're like, whoa, what's going on?
One professor asked the other professor, Esteban had the clipboard with all the tape already ready to go. It was very efficient.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
And professor said, how many stripes? And he said 3. And I went,
Trace.
I looked at him like, what? And I'm like, he smiled. Esteban kept on looking at me and smiling while they were calling it. Like, I was like maybe the 3rd one, but he called up a few people.
Yeah.
But he kept on looking at me, smiling. I'm like, why is he smiling at me like that? I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, they're not I'm not due for a black belt, but he was smiling at me like he knew something. And then he gave me the 3.
How many stripes did Ray get?
So the funny thing, Ray went before me. He got 2. We talked about it. For those of you who don't know, Ray is a training partner, awesome dude.
All around.
He's a great friend, great training partner. And he and I actually got promoted on the same day, brown belts on the same day.
Yeah.
And
stripes on the same day.
They got the stripes. They give him 2 stripes. And then right after call me up, I get 3. And then later they said, wait a minute, like, weren't you guys, like, it should have been, you guys should be on the same course. And they asked me like, hey, when did he, I said, I know we got I don't know when, I don't know the exact date, but we got our belts on the same day.
Yeah.
So they wound up giving him another stripe. And I was like, no, because then I can't line. Now I got to, how do we line up? I want him to be a 2-stripe so that he has to line up to the left of me. But I was promoted before him.
Yeah.
So I am ranking 3-stripe brown belt.
Yeah, but he's been doing, I think he's been doing jiu-jitsu since like.
Yeah, he's been around way longer. I think
you get an extra stripe for having the podcast.
Maybe.
No. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Because
maybe
you're like
spreading the word.
Yeah, you're taking jiu-jitsu outside of the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we talk about it a lot, about like people that are like, oh, I don't deserve this, or like I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I was surprised, but again, I'm not so worried about the belts, but there was that little like, wow, you're that much closer to black belt, and me in the car ride home going, I really need to get my shit together even more than ever.
It was a wake-up call?
I mean, I'm ready on a good weight loss program, so I'm like, I'm not going to be. Yeah. I saw my picture in the brown belt, and I'm like, yeah, you're still pretty heavy there, buddy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so just like a
evaluate.
We talked about like not doing stripes and how for the kids it's motivational. I think it's motivational for the adults. I mean, it turned. I was training. I've been training a lot and training hard. There's a little switch that got flipped.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, like shit's getting real. Like,
You have a responsibility. You have something to uphold.
I feel that. I see that.
I feel that. Yeah.
Between this and training.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun. It was weird. I didn't want to take it too seriously.
I'm across the street from you.
What's
in
that?
terms of thought.
Oh, yeah.
I see what you're saying, but
I'm happy. Thank you to my coaches, and
congratulations.
time to.
Did everybody clap
Yeah.
for you? Like, do you feel like they meant it? Or were they just going through the motions?
Hopefully they meant it.
they're
I
just
meant
being
it every
nice.
time I clap.
Sometimes there's
They're
a
just
pop.
being
You know what I
nice.
mean?
They're just being.
What do you mean?
Sometimes there's a pop. Sometimes certain people get promoted and they get a different clap. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
You
What do
don't?
mean?
Okay.
What do you
I
mean?
hear
Like,
sometimes.
like they don't deserve it? Clap?
No.
Or
It's
like,
just
oh,
it's
shit,
never it's
going
never
to his head
it's
clap?
never it's never a not deserve it. It's never negative. It's always good or better.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Sometimes some people get promoted and the guy before everybody got the clap in and
Oh.
out, but then the next person you might get a
wow!
couple.
You're really gonna make me?
You get a couple
the
of like,
clap?
woo, yeah, hey, you get some of those.
I think we have a lot of new people.
Hey man,
and
we're
younger
going into
belts.
this. I mean, when you want to
Close
talk
to
about
fame.
stripes, I want to talk about it.
I can't say that I remember the decibel level. I wasn't.
The closest thing.
Okay.
I was happy to be called and get a couple of
Yeah.
stripes. More
Have
than a
you ever
couple.
seen somebody get promoted and just go like, nah?
What do you mean?
Have you
Like,
ever been?
no, I
have
don't
you,
want it?
No, have you ever?
No,
No,
like
somebody
they don't
else.
deserve
You don't
it.
deserve. You think that's a very
Yeah, I
that's a very
won't
unhealthy.
say it's
that's a very unhealthy thought. But it's like sometimes it's a thought. I feel that like if you have to be objective about everything. I think in jiu-jitsu, especially.
I think that it's the same group of people. It's probably the same people that are usually negative if it's not them.
Yeah,
I
I love it.
Mauricio, I think, got a couple of stripes as
He
well.
did. I love Mauricio.
I think he got 2 stripes on his purple belt, and he made a comment. I actually shouldn't really go because I don't want to call anybody out, but like you have those conversations,
Yeah,
like
but you
so
have
and
to-
so's gonna be
you-
jealous.
you have to know Mauricio, and anything can happen, dude. Like if like a car tire rolls somewhere a different way, he'll have a comment about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's just him. You know,
But,
I don't think he.
let me just say,
I love that.
He's
Let-
got a great sense of humor.
let me just say, I'm super humbled by getting 3 strikes. Like to get 3 strikes, you're not doing them, so I was humbled by it. Again, it does really feel like, oh, like, wow, you're that much closer. Like you're a brown belt. Like it's like, okay, got a few years now. It's just like, oh wow, this is coming
Yeah.
soon.
And then
If
you're
you
gonna start
continue,
over.
training and hopefully leveling up. I think like any belt though, like there's that little like more responsibility each time.
And
like,
you say it. You've talked about it. Just because you got a blue belt doesn't mean you know everything a blue belt knows.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah, no.
You are good enough now to be a blue belt,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. that you
I'm
get.
good enough to get myself hurt again.
All right, man, get after it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, so joining us today is Professor Mike Jaramillo. You know where he's from?
Yeah, he's from Queens.
I think most people are getting to know him, if they didn't already know him from Renzo Gracie HQ, is the Happy Pill Project,
Uh-huh.
which we'll have him go into. But if you're not following it, is at the Happy Pill Project on Instagram. Check it out. It's amazing after you listen to the episode.
Also, I was just joking. He's John Danaher's first black belt. He
Yes, he is.
He's on the interwebs.
Amazing. I think that he is very. You'll see if you watch his stuff that you could tell he's a Danaher black belt. Put it that way.
And you could also tell he's got a big heart for the sport of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he's. I've said this a few times. He's got a very calming personality.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like somebody like he very much explains every move. Again, Danaher-esque. He explains things in the consumable bits that I like to learn jiu-jitsu, and not like from the beginning, but like I love to hear things or to come across things that make something I do better. Yeah, I like to learn new moves like everybody, but when I see or hear something and it's like, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong, or that will make that better, that choke tighter, that sweep easier. I love seeing that stuff. Like right now, he's got something out where he talks about like how to
Arm drag?
arm drag, and like I think everyone would arm drag with one hand, and he's kind of showing you how to grab the hand.
Sticky,
with the
and
other.
then you pull with the elbow out. Yep.
Not so much. Now you'll go on, and it's part of his recent series that he's going over. But it is really amazing, and again, it's one of those things. Just like, oh wow, I'm not. Again, love my coaches. It's just this is a detail that someone else gave me that now I feel like will make my game better. And when I'm watching his stuff, that's what I'm pulling from it. It's very, for me, reminiscent of Scully, of Jason Scully.
Which you've talked about, yeah.
I know it sounds like a broken record with him, but I wake up on Saturday to go to open mat, and I put on his channel, and I have my coffee and maybe a banana, depending on what I'm doing, and I throw it on. And it's like, I'll just catch one little move. Oh, I'm going to try that today. Or, oh, my God, I didn't even realize. 55, lapel chokes in 5 minutes, and you're not going to, register, like you're not doing all 55 that day. So I love that. So I love those consumable bits, small little bits that I get to take my game and I feel like elevated a little bit. So we'll have Mike join us in just a few minutes. A couple of quick shout outs. Thank you to our friends over at Flow and Roll. Hands down, the best custom gi and Nogi gear in the business. Don't believe us. Visit them on Instagram at flow_and_roll. Check out their custom gis or all their custom designs. And, again, they're working with academies all over the country. They do this pre-order program.
Yep.
Go to their Instagram, reach out. It's flowandroll@gmail. You can send Sean an email.
DM,
if you own a gym, if you're starting a gym, you own it, or you own a gym, the cost that goes into getting your gear. Sean has a way to get you your gear with very little money out of pocket. It's not some weird scam. He just does like a pre-order program where your students and you could order your stuff online, and then essentially those monies pay for that money that you would have used to buy your $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 worth of gear for the year that you have to get. Right. Yeah. So go check them out. Again, it's at flow_and_roll on Instagram. Their website is flowandroll, the letter N, flowandroll.com. Get 20% off of your internet order, not your custom stuff. Get 20% off with code JJD. I'm sorry, you started to say something and I interrupted you to finish that off.
Oh no, I was just saying I wore my Flow and Roll gi the other day. It's great.
Yeah, man, it's the only one I wear.
Is it the only one?
It's the only one. I wear it, wash it, wear it, wash it, wear it, wash it.
Nice.
It's the most comfortable. I love it. Thank you to the BJJ Box. We're going to keep their shout out short here because we're going to do a quick unboxing. You'll check it out at the middle of the episode. They are Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box. Again, we'll talk about them a little bit more later. We'll give them a proper shout out. Thank you to Neutral Zone Clean. Check them out at neutralzoneclean.com and at Neutral Zone Clean on Instagram. Miguel's pointing at the big bucket.
Don't be a cochino, bro.
You can check them out at those handles on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
This is not Neutral Zone CBD. This is Neutral Zone Clean. These are hygiene products. This is about being clean on the mats,
off the mats,
training, off the mats, in your personal life. I always say I carry a canister.
Showers.
I carry a canister in the car. I spray myself down after training with that spray.
I left this in the locker room.
I spray myself down. I have a towel. I wipe myself down, and I can go home. Sometimes I don't get into the shower right away, or I want to have a protein shake or do something.
Yeah.
I'm not in the shower, and I feel like I've at least cleaned. I call them the yuckies. Like I've cleaned the staff off before I even get in the car to go home.
I'd like to be my broken record. If you're a gym owner, I feel like you owe it to your students to provide amenities. Sometimes, you're not only teaching them the art, but like a lot of them have kids. And
right there,
adults, kids.
If you own a gym, that is 1,200 wipes right there.
Yep.
You can get a refill, keep them wet if they're around for a really long time.
Yep.
But 1,200 wipes. They're doing a special. It's $99. This is normally
$109.
$109.99. Use code JJD gift to get $10.99 off plus free shipping.
Yep. Gotcha.
And if you order anything else, they'll put it in the same box so you won't have to pay for the shipping. The code is good just on the bucket, right? If, so you can't use two coupon codes, right? So you're going to use JJD gift, use it on the bucket. If you have anything else ordered, I think the free shipping would be just as much as getting the 25 or we have 15% off with code JJD if you're ordering any other products. So
got to do some math.
So again, check it, 15% off with JJD
gift.
$10.99 off with JJD gift.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Shout out to Mike and Candy as well. Neutral Zone CBD has been with us for quite some time now. No matter if your aches and pains are coming from lifting weights at the gym, rolling on the mats, or just the daily grind of life, Neutral Zone has a product for you. Find your Neutral Zone by finding the best CBD products for your pain wellness so you can continue your active lifestyle. You know, I said that roll on there right now. I'm getting low on the one I have at home. I'm probably gonna have to switch it out.
Little switcheroonie.
That's my favorite. That's the one. You know that I usually have it here.
I thought you were sweaty the other day.
I'm not. Yeah. I put it on before the show. You're like, Milt, why are you sweating? And it's like, no, I put it on before the episode, and
you were just trying to find your neutral zone.
My hours at the desk have been reduced, so I'm not getting as much back pain and neck pain. Also, it helps. Also, I take other CBD products, and I mean, I know that it helps me.
It 100% helps.
It's definitely. I've got. We could talk about the other. That's my go-to right now.
Mm-hmm.
That and taking the tincture at night. So, again, go JJD. You get 25% off at neutralzonecbd.com, and the handle is at my neutral zone for Neutral Zone CBD.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Let's do this.
We're gonna get to it.
Yep.
Let's get
We're
to
gonna
it.
get Professor Jaramillo in here. Let's do it, Bo. Welcome, Professor. How are you, sir?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
Thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it. Like we just said before we started to shoot, I've been watching your stuff. The Happy Pill Project is where I found you, and then I started following you. And I told my booking manager, Britt, I said, we'd love to have him on, reach out, and that was just a couple weeks ago, and you're here. So thank you.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate being here. Anybody that promotes BJJ, I'm all for. So you guys spreading what this is and the sport, I'm all for supporting that. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it. We're trying.
The algorithm put us together. I've seen you. I'm at a Henzo affiliate school. So I look up Henzo stuff. I follow that academy as well on Instagram. So it's like I've known of you, but now I get to meet you. So it's cool. It's like I've seen a ton of your videos and your reels and your spiels, all of it. Just it comes to me.
So for those that don't know, if you don't, we'll kind of dive right in with what is the Happy Pill Project? Where did that come from? How long ago did that start? Give us a little intro, if you don't mind, on that side of things.
Sure. It goes back a bunch of years, but let's fast forward to what happened during COVID. What I found was that actually, I'd like to start off with a different story. One of the most senior guys at the Renzo Gracie Academy is this gentleman named Gino Onaldi. And years ago, I went to an event and there was a shirt that said BJJ saves lives. And what they meant, most people, when they see that, and they have an interpretation that somehow in a self-defense aspect. Mm-hmm. But the two of us looked at it and I said to him, boy, that sure doesn't mean that to me. And he said, me too. And we both knew exactly at that moment what we both meant, that mentally BJJ has this beautiful effect on people, mm-hmm. and it saves lives in that manner. And I fast forward now to the present day. And during COVID, I probably had about 40 to 50 people come to me and say to me, Professor, if I didn't have BJJ, man, I don't know where I'd be right now. And that's all from the anxiety of the virus and where this all was going. There was so much unknown in the economy. And I had so many people say that. And I always heard the same thing over and over. It was like, man, it was like my happy pill. And then some other things happened along the way. There was a young man, and there was another young man that overdosed on fentanyl. About 2 weeks ago, a different young man, it was one of my students, overdosed on fentanyl. What happened? He had an accident. I don't want to say his name, but he had an accident, and then he got hooked on these opiates, and he couldn't do BJJ. And now he overdosed last Monday, it was 2 weeks ago. And I said to my friend, a different friend that spoke to him, and I said, hey, did you suspect anything? And he said, yeah, he kind of told me he got hooked on these painkillers. And I said, well, I couldn't get off of them. He said, yeah, he was getting off of them, but he couldn't kick them because the one thing that he was able to do that kind of gave him a sanctuary and peace in his life and stuff was BJJ, and he wasn't able to do it. And he said, man, this, it was like, it was missing. And I understood it was like the same thing consistently of like BJJ is this happy pill. And over the course of the last couple of years, there were two different times I was doing a seminar where these young men came up to me. And this is before the happy pills started. And they were telling me how they were suicidal. And there were a couple of times where they tried to commit suicide. Luckily, that didn't follow through. And with their families, somehow they found BJJ, and with BJJ, it gave them kind of a purpose. And those two young men are now in college, and their families have situated them near BJJ schools.
Smart.
That allow them to do BJJ daily. They go to class, they have a dorm room and everything, but BJJ, the same exact line is like, man, BJJ is my happy pill. And I appreciate what, you being here and stuff and all that. I appreciate them. And that's how it came about, is that I know there's tons of DVDs out there right now with all these instructionals, and there's YouTube and everything. What I was trying to do is create like this, if you watch the happy pill, it's almost like a running soap opera where I'm like explaining, like I leave where I left off, what the reactions are of your opponent, what your angles should mean or not mean. So I try to describe it. I think people should use DVDs and then pair it with this. So like the happy pill for me was, and it was a small group of us that came up with the name that are really supportive of the program. And what it is like, it's like if you couldn't do BJJ, hopefully you can log into the YouTube channel and watch it. It's all for free. And you can see like all these different outcomes and what you should be looking for, and more than just a move, because a move you can look at arm bars on YouTube and literally find 1,000 different arm bars, but it's more than that. I want it to be like this, like what happens after this and what's the reaction of this angle. And if this angle changes 3 inches, what do I do from there? So I try to really to explain it with deep detail. There's days on the happy pill that I'll have them do drills and things that people from home, or if a person potentially can't do BJJ and they're by themselves, that they can watch the happy pill. And for maybe that somehow that day when they watch it, it's their happy pill.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
That's the number one. That's awesome. And I've been in that place where I couldn't do jiu-jitsu. We were doing the podcast. So we had through COVID, we had the podcast. We started a year before COVID. And that was the one thing that was consistent for me was the podcast. And even when I couldn't train jiu-jitsu, talking about it was a great outlet. Being around the camaraderie, we always had like 3 or 4 guys that come to my house. We had a different setup back then, and we would, just sit around and talk about jiu-jitsu. Even we didn't always have a guest back then. It was in the beginning. It was like round tables of just people that I trained with, and we'd just talk about jiu-jitsu. COVID forced us into like, okay, we're gonna have to do it by Zoom. My wife didn't want 1 million people in the house. We had just started to get the occasional guest. And then it turned into more of what it is today, which is a lot of Zoom stuff, which we love. And then if somebody's in Florida or local, we get them to come in. So that for me, that resonates with me because, again, there was obviously for all of us, a lot of people didn't have that outlet. Yeah, you might be able to listen to a podcast, but doing it, talking, being able to get together with my friends and training partners, even when we weren't supposed to be, training. I guess podcasts are considered like a news outlet. So, that's why Rogan was able to get away with continuing to record, right?
Essential.
Yeah, so it was essential. And then the second thing that I was going to say is when I love the way that you teach. Number one, I don't know if you know, you have a very calming voice. So when you're teaching, it's you're teaching things the way that I like to learn them. Just for me. The way that you go over where everything is this hand is supposed to be here and this foot would be here. I don't know that every coach trains like that, or, they're not recording themselves. So the details that you go over, I like to watch videos that help me with, like, especially my current game. Okay, this is my game. Oh, wow, that's going to really help with something that I do. So I love when I encounter something that's going to make something that I already know better. So, and again, just the way you teach is the way that I like to learn. So I know that's why it resonates with me and why I started following you guys.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was going to say one thing. I was going to say,
go.
if anything from all of this that's missing is that sometimes that pill is hard to swallow.
In what way? What do you mean?
Man, you get steamrolled sometimes,
Oh,
bro,
yeah.
and it
Yeah, that
sucks.
happens.
But then it's hard to swallow, but you still get the effects of the happy pill. After you get murdered in training, you're still happy afterwards. It's a hard pill to swallow sometimes.
Go ahead, Professor. I think. Did you have a question for us? Were you asking a question?
Yeah, I actually do. I was curious to know your journey and how you found BJJ.
Me personally, grew up a boxing fan. My dad was fanatical, still is, huge boxing fan. He was never a boxer, never trained in any martial arts, but was a cop and just loved boxing. We used to get together from like just friends and family, people come over as far back as I can remember. We're talking back to, Wide World of Sports, Saturday, Sunday afternoons in the parking lot of Vegas, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sweet Pea Whitaker, like those days. That's when I was a kid and I was watching with my dad. Fast forward, that was New York. We moved to Florida. As an adult, separately, we moved to Florida. Then my adult friends, we started getting together. So it was like my dad and his retired cop friends and me and my buddies would get together and watch boxing. Those buddies that I had got me into watching the UFC. You haven't seen this? You got to see it. You've never heard of UFC? I'm like, I've heard of cage fighting. It was, I think I watched Tito Ortiz defend his title. I was hooked. I was hooked from then. And I had always, since a teenager, I got into a fight when I was 16, and I always had a punching bag somewhere in the house, hanging on a tree outside. When I grew up in, early teens or late teens to early 20s, I'd have a boxing. I'd have the Everlast setup, the one that you can like just kind of slide into, or it takes up a lot of space, but it was just a rack. And I'd have that I'd never had a dining room table as a young man. It was always, my dining room had a boxing bag, an Everlast hanging. So I kind of just started to like self-taught myself how to not just box, but like kickbox. And then that's like started watching YouTube videos, and I'd watch foot placement, and I just kind of taught myself how to kickbox a little bit. Not the best kickboxer in the world, but I just watched and learned. And then a buddy, my wife's family friend, opened up a jiu-jitsu gym. And I own a marketing company. We traded marketing services for coaching. I never paid him a dime. I was with him for 2 years. I did his website, did some of his marketing, was helping train even as a white belt, new school. He was in law enforcement. He might sometimes, he was internal affairs for the Homeland Security. Actually, he started out at NYPD, but wound up at Homeland Security and internal affairs. So sometimes he was on stakeouts. He's like, you got to open the gym for me. His wife might come, but I'm at white belt doing the kids class, training. Like I was his first student. So training the people, the white belts that came in behind me. And that's where I fell in love day one. Day one training with him, I remember him saying, so what do you know about jiu-jitsu? I go, I watch a lot of UFC. I kind of feel like I know a little bit like an idiot. And I did wrestle a little bit in junior high, just a couple of years. So I thought I could take care of myself a little bit here on the ground. And he just started, moving me around, and I'm just like, he was sweeping me, and I was just like teach me more. And I was just like a sponge ever since. Right away, it was 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 2 hours a day, open mat on Saturday. Sunday was my only day off. My girlfriend at the time, hated it, which we talk a lot about on the podcast. She hated it. She's like, really? Every day, 2 hours a day. And if I had to open for him, it was 5:30. School opened at 5:30, kids class, adult class, 2 adult classes, beginner and advanced. And she's like, really? It's like 5 hours. You got to clean the mats, lock up. 5 hours, Milton? Really? And I just kept on training like that. Anyway, I didn't really stop. She kind of knew if she wanted to be with me, this is what it was going to be. And here we are, 8.5, close to 9 years later.
Milton, is he still there?
Is he still there, the coach? He closed after 2 years.
Okay.
And it was very hard. He had his full time, he was, again, law enforcement full time. It was very difficult for him to keep the school open. A lot of that was happening where he couldn't get there in time. And, he wasn't really able to grow the school because you got to put in that kind of daytime investment. You got to be there for people to come in and check you out or talk to you about your classes. And it was just like 5:30, doors open, training. There was never enough time for him to really, really market. I was helping him with his marketing, but I wasn't there talking to parents or people that were coming in off the street. So he wound up closing after 2 years, and then I moved to Fight Sports in Coral Springs, Florida, which was literally they both schools were close to me. It took me 1 minute, 1 full minute to get in my car and drive to the school. That's how close it was.
No
Everyone
lie.
would say, "Why don't you walk?" And I was just like, it's kind of Florida. You drive everywhere, but always
But he
carry a
can
big
get
gym
you.
bag. So literally a minute away. It was closer. I went there and I just fell in love with, it's a husband and wife team, Felipe and his wife, Sofia Amarante. She's a world champ. She won worlds. She won Masters. Nogi.
Well, she won Masters.
Masters.
Yep.
And
Masters Worlds, and then now the recent Nogi. I don't know if she competed in that.
I don't
Did
know if she competed. I know she's going to do the European.
No, it was Kai that was competing there. I think.
Okay. All right. That's what it is.
Yep.
So anyway, again, fell in love with it. And like I said, I mentioned to you before, I'm leveled up a little bit. We don't normally do stripes at my school. He dropped that years ago. We have some new coaches. I think that kind of pushed him to start doing. We do stripes for the kids, but they weren't doing them for the adults. And last night, out of nowhere, my coach is actually away. The owner of the school, he's actually away, but the coaches actually gave out stripes last night. So I'm a 3-stripe brown belt now.
Congratulations.
So,
Noah.
Congratulations.
so super excited.
Little closer to the next stage, and the stages never end. They just keep going.
I was
Now it'll be 10
I
years.
told
before you
Miguel
get away.
before. I walked out of there like, oh shit, I really need to up my game now. Like this is getting real. Not that I wasn't trying hard in training. I've come off some injuries, the knee, a groin injury, shoulders, tried to train whenever I could. And now I'm like, okay, now this shit's getting real.
Yeah.
Right? What's that meme from Napoleon? Is it Napoleon Dynamite that says
We're pretty serious.
yeah, he goes,
Say
I
we're
think
pretty
things
serious?
are getting pretty serious.
You say you could say it's serious.
The jiu-jitsu meme is just got a stripe on my white belt.
you're
I
at
guess
the
you could say
bottom.
things are getting real. That's the way I felt last night. Yeah, man, I got to continue to drop weight, work out, get to the gym as much as possible.
I got
feel
some electrical tape, so things are getting pretty serious.
yeah, stuff like that.
You're
But,
at the bottom of the
so
top
that's
of
my
the
journey,
pyramid.
Professor.
Thank you to Feito IT and AV, specializing in commercial and residential automation, security cameras, CCTV, POS, and more. Check them out at feitoitav.com or call 305-428-2515 and let them know the dummy sent you. Thank you to Neutral Zone CBD, a combat family-owned company that supports athletes and the people who love them. Neutral Zone strives to deliver clean CBD products for sports recovery in gummies, lotions, balms, roll-ons, and more. After a competition, a hard rolling session, or a tough day on the job, Neutral Zone has a product designed to help you reduce inflammation, increase cell rejuvenation, and may even help with aging joints. Visit NeutralZoneCBD.com and get 25% off your order with code JJD. And follow them on Instagram too, at MyNeutralZone. Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box has now joined the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. The BJJ Box is delivered to your door filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and more. The crew at the BJJ Box find the best in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. Each box includes 4 to 7 items you're going to love. Visit thebjjbox.com and use code JJD10 to get $10 off your very first box. And give them a follow on Instagram at thebjjbox. Neutral Zone is combat family owned, so they know you need to keep yourself and your equipment clean. They created Neutral Zone Clean wipes and sprays for just that purpose. Neutral Zone products are formulated to reduce the risk of bacterial and fungal infections. Whatever's making you sweat, weight training, rolling on the mats, yard work, or just working around the house, Neutral Zone Clean wipes and sprays can make you feel and smell refreshed. Use code JJD to get 15% off your online order at NeutralZoneClean.com. While you're there, sign up for their newsletter to receive the latest info and updates on product launches like their new shower gel and soap bar coming soon. Are you Neutral Zone Clean? Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible Nogi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
Are both of you avid gi players, or do you preference no gi? Or
my school is primarily gi. We only do no gi on Saturdays. Our open mat is our no gi. Only because they haven't had enough people come during the week. We have a lot of older guys, so we haven't had a lot of people that have gone to like no-gi classes to warrant, keeping them going. But I should actually say, in just the last couple of weeks, we have a new coach that was hired. He's from the fight sports system, and he is really, really pushing for. We've really started to do more competitions. Our girls, we have a girls team that's like kicking ass, winning gold everywhere. And he's been pushing, and now we actually do adults class at 7:30. We normally just did an adults class at 7:30 to 8:30, and now there is a competition class, a no-gi competition class at 8:30. So it's great. We're kind of I don't want to say catching up in that regard, but now the classes are available where it was only available on Saturdays for a very long time. So I go to the Saturday no-gi. We're 7 days a week. They're open 7 days a week. There are 2 open mats on Saturday and Sunday. And because I'm not getting no-gi during the week, I always get to at very least the no-gi Saturday open mat. So
I have a couple of questions. I'm sure that you've interviewed a lot of people. And so you've had a lot of different perspectives on things. What is your perspective, because you're not playing no-gi that much, and the stylistic game and your grips? Like, I know that's pretty general.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very different game. So I was just curious of what your take is on it, because one is not more than one. You're playing gi a lot more than no-gi. I was just curious of what your take.
Can I say something real quick?
I'll answer it as well.
So the in my school, it's a 50-50 split. If anything, I would say 60-40, leaning towards no-gi. And to answer the second question, in my school, even during the gi classes, the coach takes the time to explain the grip with the gi, and during the gi class, explain the grip with the no gi, or even if you should attempt that grip, like let's say you're in a De La Hiva, an escape from a De La Hiva guard when they're holding the back of your ankle. And no gi is to merely step to the side where your toes are pointing away from the palm of the hand and step out in that direction, and it goes straight into a toreando. But he's like, if you're in the gi, you're doing this, don't do that move. And he'll explain that during the gi class.
Yeah.
And then he'll do the reverse in the no-gi class.
Yeah.
And I just want to also add, I like that my coach doesn't treat everybody like they're dumb. Like, he has no problem explaining a high-level move even to a beginner, because it prompts questions. And then everybody kind of mentally elevates themselves in the game right off the jump. He doesn't just dumb it down. Yeah. He'll dumb it down for you if he sees you doing it wrong, like live.
Yeah.
But teaching it, I just want to add that one caveat that I like that he goes ahead and gives you a really good, well thought out explanation at a high level.
For me, it's actually funny that I kind of feel like I have weak fingers. So I don't really get when I'm training gi. I've actually said there's 2 parts of this really. I love the gi. I had a heart attack a couple years ago. It's actually like 4 or 5 years ago now. I had a heart attack a few years ago. So my cardio isn't what it used to be from before that. 4 stints, I can definitely feel my heart beats fast.
Good, though.
Thank you. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. It's good genes.
I meant before the stints.
Oh, okay.
Usually everything that tastes great is bad for us. So.
Yeah.
You were doing good on the eating end. Right?
I definitely didn't put the right things in my body for a really long time. I lived in Florida. I partied it up.
Just say those are wake-up calls.
Yeah, again, look, I wasn't on the floor writhing in pain. I actually had 2 heart attacks. I had one after training on a Friday night and one after training Saturday morning, but I didn't know that I was having a heart attack. It was just literally felt like it felt like somebody was sitting on my chest. But
Like an uncomfortable tightness?
yeah, like if somebody was literally mounted on me, or maybe like in a side control, pushing down on my chest. And the funny one, the funny way that I explain it, it actually felt like I had to take a dump. At the Friday night when I came home, I went and got some acai with some of my training partners. We sat, we ate, and I'm like, all right, guys, I got to go. Again, luckily I'm close to the gym, and I just felt like I had to go to the bathroom. So let me get out of here. But it felt just like up here around the chest.
Wow.
It just felt like somebody was like sitting on me. It was like a little bit hard to breathe. Now, everyone always says, what is it? I forget what they say. Like the left arm, the right arm is the one that. That's all bullshit. It's just not
Depends
the case.
what type of a heart attack, though.
So I actually felt it. I forget which arm. I just know that I'm going to say I felt it on one side, but I didn't feel it like all tingly. It didn't really bother me so much. In the morning, I felt it from elbow to elbow. I felt all pain through here. So in my mind, it was like, oh, it's from jiu-jitsu. Almost like when you work out chest, that way that you feel maybe you haven't worked out in a little bit, but that whole feeling of like, I feel it in my chest. It almost feels good.
Tightness,
but that tightness,
acid.
but again, like you couldn't breathe. So I trained at night, and I went back. I was with my wife. I'm like, I feel weird. Went to the bathroom. I felt better after that. Saturday morning, same thing. I say that my wife saved my life because she does a little kickboxing. So she was at her class. I was at my class, came home, took a shower, was going to run my Saturday errands. My wife came back from her class, and we just passed. And I said, I had showered. I was getting ready and dressed to go. And I said, I'm kind of feeling the same way. She says, why don't we just sit here for a little bit and let's make sure that this passes. And I was like, all right, let's sit. We sat on the bed in the bedroom, and we just talked, and she just kept an eye on me. She's like, are you okay? She's like, why don't we go to the hospital? Let's there's a hospital right around the corner. Why don't we go? We realized something was up, went to the hospital. They do an EKG, and there's one nurse in the room. They do the EKG. She leaves, or he leaves, comes back. There's two nurses. She leaves. She comes back. Now there's 3 or 4 nurses, and I'm like, something's obviously going on.
That equals
They
a doctor.
never say heart attack. They just tell you, hey, we're going to put you in an ambulance and take you over to the hospital. I'm in Coral Springs. They sent me to like a network hospital. Go all the way to Fort Lauderdale. It's like a half-hour drive.
Ooh,
I got there in
regional.
like 15 minutes. Lights on. They never say heart attack. I get into the ambulance, and they're talking. They see like, okay,
don't
I'm
wanna give you a
smiling, I'm
heart attack.
joking. I'm like, what the hell's going on? They're like, okay, you had a heart attack, so we're going to get you over to the cardiac unit in Fort Lauderdale. So I went in, and again, smiling. I wasn't like on the ground, like I just didn't really realize what was going on, and 4 stints. They put in 3 stints the first day. The next day they went back in and put 1 more. And yeah, that's my heart attack story. I don't blame jiu-jitsu for that. That's on me. That's the way I took care of my body. But it just happened after 2 really good training sessions. So,
Did you feel a major difference once the stents were installed?
It might be that I'm overthinking it because I didn't really put a lot of thought into my heart rate before that. Like I wasn't thinking about it. I just thought I was a healthy 30-something, 40-something, right? It was in my 40s.
You said you started
already.
at 41.
Yeah, so I'm in my 40s already. So, the thing that I missed, the sign that I missed that was like slapping me in the face was being out of breath quickly. Like I worked in a building. It was a 2-story building, so my office was on the 1st floor. I'd run up to the 2nd floor to go to our other offices, and I'd go to the top, and I'd be like, man, I gotta lose some weight. Like I'm carrying a lot of weight, and that was it. It was my heart was struggling because it was I was 80% blocked on my main artery.
Shit.
So what they would call the widowmaker. That's when you get fully blocked. That's when you
And that's a big ass artery.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, that's the one that explodes.
So that was slapping me in the face all that time, but that's probably the only thing that stood out to me. I actually didn't really notice it when I did jiu-jitsu because I'm tired because I'm rolling hard. We're fighting, we're training. So it just kind of went, passed me by. I never really thought of it. And again, it's that was the key. Your question was, how did I feel kind of afterward? Like, how do I feel different? Again, because I don't feel like I really paid a lot of attention to it before, other than those little signs that I look back on and go, oh, that's, you were clogged up. Your heart was trying to tell you something. Now I'm like really pay attention to it. I got an Apple Watch to like I work out. I've got my watch on. I've like looking at my heart rate, make sure things don't get too crazy. But I feel like I'm out of breath a lot quickly, or it was for a long time. I feel like, wow, man, I just did warm ups and I'm like, and I could feel my heart beating a lot. So after I felt like that, so I kind of had to change the way I trained a little bit. And it goes back to the Ghee. I like Ghee because I can control the pace. If I do feel like that, or I don't feel so much like that now, but for a long time, I would be like, okay, Ghee lets me really control where I am. But I really, when I'm rolling even the Ghee, I'm not like a lapel guy. I'm not really getting my fingers twisted up. I don't have the fat knuckle. I am just usually kind of rolling like I do when I do Nogi, where it's the same for me. So that kind of went back to your initial question, like the differences between the grips and rolling Ghee and Nogi. I've just never been a guy that really gets tangled up. So yeah.
Hey, what do you look for on the Apple Watch that you're monitoring so much?
It actually has an EKG.
Okay.
It has an EKG. So every once in a while I'll feel like, I feel a little weird today. What's going on? Or maybe like, sometimes I work out, did some weights, and I'm having a little pain. I'm like, is that the weights, or is that, something going on? I'll do a little EKG, make me feel better. And then there's a workout app that I use that you can say like, I'm cycling, I'm doing the elliptical, I'm doing traditional weights.
General workout.
Yeah, it gives you like a general workout. And it really just tracks your heart rate.
PTSD, man.
So I like to keep an eye just on my heart rate. And I know that, I usually want to keep it, below 160, even if I'm going hard at something. But I'm good. I'm healthy. I've actually did the stress test recently with my cardiologist, and she says, you have a normal heart. You have, you have a healthy heart. You're good. You shouldn't be worried about a lot of the things that you're worried about. So now I'm like, kind of feel like I go back to normal, but I still, maybe it's in my head, I still do feel like when I get going, I can feel. It's really strange to say, but I feel my heart when it starts going. Like, again, I just think I'm more conscious. I'm in tune with it a little bit more. And I know when I got to, bring it down a notch or take a break.
Like a post-incident anxiety.
Yeah, there's probably a little PTSD
now your
there.
awareness about this stuff is like super heightened. And just remember, death never warns you except but a whisper.
Yeah.
It never says, hey, I'm coming.
I was back to training after 3 weeks. I was just like, like training, but I was just like, I feel fine. Doc, can I get out there? And he didn't understand what jiu-jitsu was. And he told me, he says, just make sure nobody kicks you in the chest. And I said, no, there's not a lot of kicking. There might be something that happens,
Might happen.
It might, incidental, but nobody is kicking me. It's, it's not a striking sport. So he was like, all right,
just
do you think just keep an eye on yourself? And I've been good since, but definitely, again, super conscious of it,
Hey, can I tell you two things on your journey through BJJ? Is I do like promoting Nogi, and I understand there's two things one about the watch that I'd like to return to in a second with the EKG, but for the gentlemen that'll watch this that are a bit older, that have done BJJ for maybe for whatever amount of time, and they have a fear to go to Nogi because it almost seems chaotic. The game, like there was something that you said, and I agree, like you play the game and, with Ghee and tops and stuff, you can tie them up. You can tie them up also, Nogi. It's how you do it. And hopefully in the future, I'll cover it more. Right now, I'm trying to do these patterns because it'll take me a couple of years to get back to another pattern.
Wow.
But in the future, I'll bring that up. About like if you're older and like how do we get to these safe spots to tie people up, because you should be able to tie somebody up with Nogi. If you understand your De La Rivas and your Z guards and your grips, you should be able to tie somebody up. And then when it changes is when you decide you're going to become offensive on the attack. So for the people in the future, and I'll cover it in the happy pill in the future, like tying somebody up.
Very cool.
Listen, I need you're getting a little bit older and you want to, catch your wind. Absolutely. So it's something that I love that you said that in that future, I promise that I'll cover that, like how to tie somebody up, the grips, what you're looking for, the angles, because the game changes within 3 to 4 inches. Man moves 3 to 4 inches, different move. And then the second question, I was actually a question. The first, that was just a statement, but the question was when you're looking at that EKG on the watch, because I also have an Apple Watch, but I've never used the EKG app. But I also think it's quite important that if there's something that's a red flag, that a lot of people don't do it enough. It's like what Bo just said about that Grim Reaper creeps up on you. He doesn't say he's coming. So if there's things that you could potentially go, hey, you know what? Take a look at this, because Apple has that. Like, is there anything, if I opened up that EKG, that I should be looking for?
So I think this is the 4. I think it's a little older, but it was the only reason I got it. I'm not like a jewelry person. Don't really wear a lot of watches unless I'm getting dressed up or something like that. So it connects to the health app. Like you're connecting it to your phone. Okay. So then you can, monitor. There are really 2 apps, right? There's the health app that has the little heart. There's a, like a little heart. And then there's the actual EKG, which is the one that I pay attention to. You hold it by the crown, you touch it with your thumb, and then you hold the crown, and it'll do an EKG over the course of 30 seconds. You're supposed to be like don't go running and then do the EKG, because you're gonna have it's gonna be off. But it'll usually tell you, like, it actually says normal sinus rhythm is what it'll tell you. It also says we're not telling you that you're not having a heart attack. So if you feel bad, like, go see a doctor. But it actually then sends the report to the health app, and then I'll get a little pop-up if I wanted to look at it further, or I can have it go directly to my doctor, which I don't do. Yeah. But it's a comfort thing for me more than for more than anything. It's a comfort thing for me that, like, I've been sleeping at night and been uncomfortable. It's one of the reasons why, like, I kind of started to do the intermittent fasting a little bit, because I was noticing as I got older, if I do eat late, I'm very uncomfortable when I sleep. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I've been in bed, and I actually my wife and I have adjustable beds, so I sleep sitting up slightly, right? But I would feel uncomfortable about something, and I'll grab the watch, put it on, like, make sure that I've calmed, that my heart isn't going. And then I'll just, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I'll do it real quick. And I'll be like, all right, I can close my eyes and know that hopefully I'm going to be able to open them in a few hours,
I love that you're doing it.
Yeah. It's
one chance at this. So.
There's, Cardio Mobile, people that, I guess, that don't have Apple. There's a one called Cardio Mobile. It gives you a small keypad, probably a little bit smaller than maybe the size of a business card. And then you could put your 2 fingers on it. And again, it sends it to the phone. I guess there's an app. But that's if you don't have the watch, or if you're not an Apple person, you can get Cardio Mobile. It's actually what sparked me. I was looking at Cardio Mobile, and then as I was looking at it, Apple was coming out with the feature. I believe the Apple Watch number 4 was the first time they had the EKG. So
the Fitbit is nice too.
So I got it, and again, it makes me feel. Look, I only wear it down here. I'm an hour away from home. I only wear it because I'm an hour from home, and in case I feel a little uncomfortable, it's become more of a comfort thing. If I'm home, close to home, I actually usually don't even wear it. So I wish that it was a little smaller, that I could maybe wear it when I rolled, because I'd love to see where my heart rates were. And I know there's some other stuff.
Buy the female, because they sell. You got the 42
mil. There's also like the Whoop. What is it?
Yeah, you could do
there's
Whoop.
Some thin ones that you can wear. Just don't want to invest more money into something, but I would love to wear it to get an idea of where I'm at while I'm rolling. But maybe at some point I would probably invest in something like that.
The Fitbit is.
I
really
love
cool.
the Whoop.
Do you use it? Do you?
Yeah. I love the Whoop, actually. I love the data on the sleep.
Are you wearing it when you train? Oh, yeah? Okay. So that's what kind of info does it give you?
It does I like 2 things on it. I like the sleep, because as I've gotten older, I find it's so critical in everything in your life. And then the second thing I like is it shows me my recovery based on my variable heart rate. So sometimes, hey, you always wonder, like, am I just being lazy today, or did I not recover?
If you're fully recovered, I like that data. Yeah, that's a good metric. You could do that too with the Apple Watch. I used to do it with my Apple Watch as well through the health app. It works pretty good. But for me, normally I'm such a lazy roller, and don't push myself.
Stop it! I've rolled it. That's
dude.
He's lying.
I don't get that.
You know what's
He's
cool
lying.
about the Fitbit? The Fitbit also tells you when you're in ketosis.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's got to be a guess
So if
for
you're
sure, unless
doing-
you're peeing on your watch.
No, it's acidity in the blood. It's acidity. that
How's
comes
it
through
getting your
skin.
blood?
Ketones.
Yeah, you could.
When you
do
go
they do
into
the mouse
ketosis,
roots?
you're starting to produce ketones. Your blood acid goes up.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure it uses
let's-
a metric.
Let's get back to the guest.
Yeah, I love this. Here we go. I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Are you a gi or no gi player mostly? Because your school is 50-50.
Yeah, so I grew up wrestling. It just happens. It happens that that in my school, the days that I go, my days that I go are dependent on the rest of my life. So
Family.
yeah. So the days that I'm married, got kids, and a full time job. So the days that I mainly go are today and Mondays, which are gi days. But then I train on the weekends, striking and Nogi.
Okay.
And I used to do a wrestling class, and that kind of dissolved. But there's still wrestling classes after a gi class on Monday, which I'll stick around for a little bit, just kind of maybe do the drills, no live rolling, and just so I'm not at the gym for too long. But yeah, I like it all. I really don't have a preference. I love gi because it's new to me. I've only been rolling for 3 years. I'm a blue belt. But to me, Nogi is like wrestling, but I get to do all the illegal shit I couldn't do in high school. It's great. You get full Nelson people. You could cradle them. You could do the lockdown, ashi, all the ashis.
And if you're back
bars
you don't lose.
are great. You know what I mean? I get stomped a lot, but the wrestling's fun. I like it.
He's very humble. He's tough. He's tough. I
awesome.
go back to the first time I met him and the first roll that we had. As soon I was sitting on the ground. He came over. We started to roll, and as soon as I started to move, I don't know if I stopped him and asked her at the end of the roll.
I think you
I said,
asked
"Well,
at
you're."
the end.
I think I actually right away. I was like, "Did you wrestle?" And I could just see in his body movement. I wrestled. I recognized just his stance and what he was doing, and I was like, okay. And it was good for me to know too. Okay, I'm we didn't get into how long he had wrestled until later, but I kind of recognized it right away. I like to know who I'm rolling with sometimes, especially the very first roll. Like, is this going to be the ADCC finals, or are we going to you play jiu-jitsu
You'll
here?
get that. You'll get that from a new guy though, which is fun to deal with.
Yeah,
I guess like how he says like I'm humble or whatever. I just feel like I know. I've recently found out how much I don't know. And I feel like jiu-jitsu is like this mountain that's in my backyard as I'm drinking my coffee, and I just go, fuck, And I just want to add a little bit of something to that, right? So like, but also I really don't focus. I know it sounds stupid, but I really don't focus on the belts and all the old school juju stuff or anything like that. I just really like to train. I think rolling is super fun, and the guys and the gals are like, I see them. They're like my work friends at my gym.
He's so humble. I'm gonna tell you something about him, and then I actually want to ask you a question about it. So he's super humble. He used to train at my gym. He had to move, so he's moved to 2 gyms. So he would have easily been a purple belt with maybe a stripe or 2 at my gym where I am now. He's moved, so he's had to learn kind of the jiu-jitsu that's being taught in those gyms. So that's kind of my question. I think we might have talked about it on the last episode. I said, I'm a brown belt at my school's jiu-jitsu. I don't travel a ton. I have a full-time job. I own a marketing company. We do this. I train at my gym. If I go to his gym, they have a different curriculum and they do things a little bit differently. My brown belt might not be their brown belt, right? If I had to learn their stuff, I might not necessarily take a step back or have to give my belt back, but I'd be learning things that maybe their blue belts and purple belts are learning from their coach their way. For instance, like my coach is a huge lockdown guy. My game is, I love pulling guard. I love getting people in the lockdown. It's fun for me. I like it. But the question again goes to like, what do you say to somebody that like Miguel, who's had to move around? He's not worried about his belt rank, but the concept of, yeah, you're a blue belt here or you're a purple belt here, but if you go to a whole nother gym, I'm sure if I went to train with you, I'm watching the stuff that you're doing. I'm going to not be starting over, but it's a different game for me. Am I right or wrong?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I agree with Miguel in that you shouldn't put so much value in the belt because I've been playing the game a long time, and one time I had so many nicknames in Henzo's. One time I used to do these crazy acrobatic jumps, and they called me Matrix Mike, and then my name became Murder Mike for a long time. And now you see me at 53 years old. I'm a smaller guy. If you've seen, I was a bigger guy. I lifted weights, and I could eat 6 times a day, and I own these gyms.
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. I can't do that. Like I fast most days, 20 hours. I eat 1 or 2 meals. I care more about longevity now.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is that, if what determines a black belt, what determines a blue belt? Are you putting it as a standard? Like sometimes people get a higher belt, right? Somebody might get a brown belt, and then I'll hear these complaints among the purple belts where they're like, well, I tap him out, and then they justify that they deserve that belt. It's a personal journey. And I'll use this example as like, what sets the bar for a black? If we're comparing ourselves to Gordon Ryan, then nobody gets a black.
Yeah.
Nobody gets a black belt, bro.
Yeah.
No.
And then, and as you age, like you realize, okay, so I can't do every single move I used to do. And it's this personal thing. So do I give back my belt? Because then you're going to give back your black and your brown. And if you want to play BJJ for your whole life and you're going into your 80s, yeah, I get it. Kids that are probably jacked and they're 20 something years old and they're beating the crap out of it. Now, do you go back to a white belt at that age? Like, no, you don't. I heard this great line. I don't know if Helio really did say it, but I heard that he did. And they asked him as he aged, like, how does it feel like you can't do the same things? These young guys are beating you up. And he said, you know what? You redefine what you consider success. And that's really, it's really what you do. It's like, so yeah, they're goals. And I think every man and woman should have a goal. So they're awesome to try to like get your belts. And it's great that you can say, hey, because of that black belt, forget about skill. A black belt's just a white belt that never gave up. And everything is measured like for the individual. Like, so I don't put that much value. I know people want to chase the belt a lot of times. And I respect it because I did it also coming up. But as you go down the journey, and this is for any young man or woman or whatever stage you're at, like, don't put so much emphasis on the belt. You worry about yourself getting fractionally better every time you go in that gym. If you can fractionally get better, it builds up over time. And that's what the journey is. It's a personal journey. Yeah. So, yeah, the belts matter in some regard because, hey, they're a goal. But no, I don't put a lot of value into it.
Yeah, when I had a lot of the guys in the gym, when, again, we stopped doing the stripes and certain guys would be like, oh, we're not getting stripes anymore. I'm like, bro, it's not. Don't worry about it. It's actually like a really good feeling when all of a sudden you get, your coach calls you up and he's giving you a belt. When you're worried about the stripe, don't worry about the stripes. It isn't about those stripes.
It's good for the kids.
Yeah,
it keeps the kids engaged.
But you know what? Like I saw last night, it also does keep the adults engaged.
Because
there
are
a lot of smiling faces because it does symbolize a certain amount of recognition for the effort that you put in. Not your skill. Forget about the skill.
Amount of
the effort. It feels good. Who doesn't love a pat on the back? And that's what it is. It's a pat. It's a little bit of a pat on the back. More for the kids. It's definitely a motivator for the kids. Go home. Mom's going to take me for ice cream now. It's good. Woohoo. Yeah. And then it's back to training the next day. It's like, I know. I get
a pat at the back when I tap somebody out.
Yeah.
Every time. That shit feels good too.
This is why I love having Miguel here because he's my comic relief. He's very clever.
All right. It's just, you know what? Hey, I have a question as a professor.
Sure.
All right. So, like you said, I've been to different schools. I have different belts. I have multiple blue belts. And also just because I wash my belt so they shrink and I buy another one, but sometimes I forget it, so I grab the short one. Whatever. Anyways, my coach gave me a stripe on my belt, but I have 2 other belts that I sometimes wear that don't have the stripe. Do I bring him the belts to put the stripe on them?
Put the stripes on.
Funny enough, I thought about that last night. I'm like, man, they put these fat stripes on. I'm gonna have to put like the little ones on my other belt because my tape size is different. I don't care.
Well,
I think that part is all like the belts.
If he says anything, I'm gonna go, hey, Professor Mike.
When I first went, when I first went to fight sports in Coral Springs, I went before Christmas to check out the school as my gym had closed. And then, it was like a couple of weeks. I helped my coach, take apart the gym and move everything to his house. So then after the holidays, I went back and I was a blue belt. There were a bunch of white belts, and I came back and they had all gone to their promotion. They go down to Miami. They used to down here. Everyone went to Miami, and they did the fight sports promotions all at the same time. And I came back and I'm like, everyone was blue, and I'm like, what? Where's the white belt class? And I had this dark blue. Like, I stood out, and I was just like, am I supposed to ask him for, like, again, at blue belt, you're thinking about the belts at that point. Yeah. Everybody had these like baby blue belts, and I'm standing there with I looked odd. I looked like the visitor. Yeah. But I never changed the belt. I didn't care. I never really cared. I was just like, this is my belt. This is me,
I was sometimes I don't pay attention so much that sometimes I say stuff that's horrendously offensive. I don't pay attention a lot when it comes to those type of interactions, especially in the gym. Like I'll say some dumbass shit just because you said some dumb shit. What are you talking about?
I
don't know. Sometimes when somebody's speaking seriously, they say something that's ridiculously funny without even knowing that they said something like that. So as soon as they're done speaking and it's okay to talk.
That's why I have you here, man. That's why I love it. You're Mr. Inappropriate.
But I do understand it. You could lean into like, I pay for this service. You could be that the government works for me, so they should, that kind of talk. But I do also like to pay attention to the fact that like this is a martial art. I highly respect the people that I roll with above and below me, because they're both giving up their time. I'm training with maybe 2 or 3 people that actually have a chance to be successful in the sport at a professional level at my gym, but everybody else is just like me. It doesn't matter. They're better than me or worse than me. They're just like me in terms of like, they're in school or they're working, whatever struggle they're dealing.
A lot of hobbyists.
It's their happy pill.
Professor, your school. I mean, I know the school, but like your classes that you're coaching, are you coaching mostly guys that are like looking to compete, trying to do this professionally? Do you have hobbyists? Is it a mix?
It really is a mix.
Yeah,
I mean, it's those Nogi classes are approaching 90 to 100 people per class. So
how big's that gym?
It's such a mix. They're you'll get everything in there. You'll get UFC fighters visiting, Bellator. You'll get kids from the B team. You just get so many different players in there. So I wouldn't say that there are a lot of the young kids, since I took the class over 2 years ago. Before it was a little bit different in there. Now I have a lot of young kids that, they just come all the time. And some of them, they just started competing. So they're new to it. They're having their adrenaline dumps. And stylistically, I saw some stuff that happened this weekend at the Pans that I want to fix. So they just started. But these young kids, they're just amazing. They haven't been rolling for 2 years. And most visitors that are purple, brown, and black get tapped by them. They're just they just spend so much time on the mat. And now, I'm trying to show it with like deep detail. And the kids now with the DVDs and the YouTube and the Instagram, they're exposed to so much knowledge. So there is a mixture. My answer to the question is such a mixture, from kids that are just starting off competing to high level pros to pros, like a little bit of everything.
Professor, when you get up to, I'm going to be 50 in a few months. You said you were 53, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
We tend to call kids, people that are like in their 20s kids. Is that what you're referencing? When you say kids, they're like late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
Late teens, early 20s, kind of in college. I got a ton of them that just exploding up right now.
Yeah.
You'll start to see them in the next year and a half. I'm not talking about winning ADCC, but winning their divisions at IBJJ.
Yeah. Do those, especially people that have been training there a long time, and I'm through like the Danaher years, do people realize like where they are? Like, this is like, I guess I say like I would be honored to train at Renzo's, especially at HQ, right? I'd be honored. Is it like in the air Like, we're lucky to be here. This is an honor to be able to train in this room with these people.
A lot, yeah.
Is it tangible? You know what I mean? Like, is it like we all know?
You know what happens is so many people come from other countries to visit New York, and then they come and want to take pictures. So they see it all the time. And if I try to instill, especially for the younger generation, that they appreciate what Renzo created there and show appreciation for the academy. So I do believe that they do. At least they show me that they're thankful. Because what Renzo did, and I don't know if have you guys ever had him on? He's got an interesting story.
No,
I love it. I've seen his documentary like 80,000 times.
Oh, okay. There's another one coming. Netflix is doing a thing on them.
Good.
The family.
Yeah.
And Netflix was here maybe mid last year. I forget when exactly, but they were in New York filming him for like 17 days. From what he told me, like the most, and I may be wrong, but Renzo told me that I think the number was the highest number that Prime ever funded for a documentary was The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. They were so impressed with the footage that they're doing on the Gracie family. I think they're profiling Hickson, Hoyce, Renzo.
Oh, wow. That'd be amazing.
They were
like
so
almost like a
impressed.
TV show, not just a movie. It sounds like that would be a TV show. Like
multiple episodes.
Episode.
A docu-series.
Yeah, exactly. Like Netflix is putting them out all the time now.
Yeah.
They're doing one on that family. And there was, from what Renzo told me, I don't know the sums, but this would be the second largest funded one after The Last Dance. So a lot of people will get exposed.
Is The Last Dance Prime or Netflix?
No, it's Netflix.
It's Netflix. Oh, it is Netflix.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Prime and Netflix are owned by the same company, I think.
Prime is Amazon.
Amazon, yeah. Netflix is
Prime is Amazon. Netflix is Netflix.
Private owner.
Yeah. So, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure traveling between San Diego, New York, Sao Paulo, like
to do the documentary.
Of course, yeah. You have to visit so many places.
Did you get? Did they interview you? Were you able to?
No.
Talk to you, or?
They were filming there, but I wasn't interviewed.
And
Renzo comes to my Saturday classes a lot of times.
Yeah.
The students love to see him, so they were filming him on the weekends when I was there.
So when is he coaching when he's there, or is he are you coaching or?
I'm always active in there. I love that place, but Renzo always is, and I mean, if you've been around Renzo, he's just an awesome. He just has this awesome energy that
he's charismatic.
We did he did a seminar down here when I think it was it Maria that kind of wiped out the Keys, along with a lot of, I don't know if it was Maria. There was a hurricane, wiped out some of the
Irma.
Was it Irma?
Irma.
Wiped out the Keys a little bit. I know they had a Fight Sports location down there that lost everything. So they did a seminar that was where they took all the funds and then like donated it actually to a couple of different schools, including like one in PR and then the Keys and things like that. And Renzo was there. There was like Tom DeBlah. I think Muhammad Ali and Cyborg were supposed to have a fight, and they canceled it. And Cyborg asked Muhammad to come to to come down and be part of the seminar. So it was Muhammad Ali, Tom DeBlas, Renzo, obviously Cyborg. I can't even remember. And there were a couple of other big names there, but they did a huge seminar. So that's the closest I've gotten to Renzo. And everybody. It was hours. I had to leave. They wound up like everybody was doing like an hour worth of moves, and people were there all day. It was pretty awesome. That's the closest I got to Renzo. But as far as like his demeanor, the guy never stopped smiling. He was walking around that place. You can ask him for a picture, and he was super nice. He was a great guy.
And I'll tell you a couple of stories, but I would like to say something about him and the effect he's had on so many lives. People talk about the DDS and the Danaher Death Squad, New Wave, and those things of that nature, and that's great. But he came here, I think it was in 1996, and he was going to go back. And there's a history between him and his partner when he first got here, where he was gypped out of some money. And they split up, and that gentleman, I don't know where he is now, but Renzo was going to go back to Brazil and stayed. And the reason I always return back to what I said in the beginning of a story. So I mentioned how he affected so many people. Renzo, people know him. Okay, Renzo's as famous, and John showed there, but Renzo not only created John. If you look at Matt Serra has multiple division champions in the UFC. Aljamain Sterling himself, he won the 170. Chris Weidman, and he has fabulous BJJ instructors, fabulous competitors. Jason Rouse, an awesome competitor. Mm-hmm. Nick Rowan. So the reason I'm mentioning them, they come from the Renzo lineage at the top, because they always say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And if you look at Ricardo Almeida, Frankie Edgar, Edison Barbosa, Eddie Alvarez, name them. So many champions. Yep. And they all three of those guys, Matt Serra, Ricardo Almeida, John Danaher, all.
GSP, even though he was with Faraz Sahabi, but he trained with Danaher.
Go.
All right, everybody, we're going to do a quick unboxing of the BJJ box. They are Jiu-Jitsu's favorite subscription box. It's delivered to your door, filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and a whole lot more. Yeah. They find the best products in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. All right, each box you'll see right now has between 4 and 7 items that you're going to love. Use coupon code JJD10 for $10 off your first order. Let's see what they sent us.
So I'm wearing the shirt. Little movie magic here. Here's your shirt.
Thank you, sir.
Right in time for Halloween.
Yes. Very cool. Can you see this? Can you get the whole shirt there?
Yeah. Bud? I also highly recommend.
No. You got to move. Move the.
Hey.
There you go. Perfect.
Hey. There you go. Now you see the shirt.
Right.
Just in time for Halloween. Is that what you said?
Just in time for Halloween.
BJJ Monster.
And watch the Monsters on Netflix. It's good. It's good. If you did you watch the old show?
Of course.
Okay, it's good. Okay, so we got some Vive compression knee pads. It looks like slides, like wrestling slides, not necessarily padded, but
very cool.
Prevent the rug burn.
Yep.
Or the mat burn.
Good for those takedowns, right?
Right.
Double leg.
And then you got the Shock Doctor.
Oh,
these are socks. Yep.
Shock socks.
Very cool.
Just socks.
Oh, Shock Doctor.
Yeah.
It's my I use their mouthpiece.
There you go.
And what if it's a little compression style?
What is that?
That's right. And then here we got body wipes from Clean Freak.
Okay.
Body wipes.
Very cool.
Check that out. Try those out.
Wiping down.
So they're
bodies.
also thinking about hygiene is very important in jiu-jitsu, and so is staying fed.
What do you got?
We got ourselves a Zone Perfect protein bar, fudge gram.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Very cool.
Fudge gram.
And then we've gotten a similar product like this
Perfect
in a previous BJJ box, but not a spiky one.
Is
it? Is this the same one?
That's a spiky ball.
That's
the
one spiky ball.
Yeah. You get to keep that one.
Yeah, spiky ball for me.
Very cool, man. You're gonna.
I wonder if my dog's gonna like it.
Your cat's gonna like it.
Oh, nice. I got Dos Gatos now.
Yeah. Oh, you have 2 cats?
Yeah, my wife's grandmother died, and we went up there. Yeah, and we adopted the cat. Her name is Missy Sue, and then we brought her home. We drove from Ohio down with the cat, and she was in our bed, And when Missy Sue walked away, we were like, "Oh, you're Mr. Sue."
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, nobody knew, I guess. Yeah, so we have the cat. His name's Rocco the Taco Cat now.
Is it?
Yeah.
I like that.
Mr. Sue.
So you get the spiky ball. Love that spiky ball for my feet.
Good.
Amazing.
For plantar's fasciitis.
I just have it on the floor in the living room, and I just use it. I'm sitting there, morning coffee. I'm there with my foot.
I got my kids' Legos.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on the floor. I step on them.
Similar concept.
Yeah.
Anything else in there?
No, that was it. That was a lot of stuff. That was like 6 things.
Yeah, crazy amount of stuff.
It's more like walking on hot coals and broken glass at the same time.
Right here, man. That's,
plantar's fasciitis.
We'll do the split. See what else you want.
You're gonna split that protein bar?
Yeah. All right. Listen. Again, BJJ Box, at the BJJ Box, and the BJJBox.com.
That's right.
Again, $10 off your first box with code JJD10. All right, guys.
That's right.
Let's get back to the show.
Do it.
Julio.
When I met GSP wasn't with Faraz. GSP was using Johnny, and then he came and was using Phil Nurse here in New York. It wasn't I never met Faraz until after the whole thing happened, where he couldn't come back, and then he went to New Mexico. So, the reason I bring him up is like there's so many that like were created from like this lineage of Renzo.
Yeah.
So I just think people don't realize the effect he had on Nogi BJJ, because I mean, no disrespect to the Ghee game, which I love the Ghee game also, but nobody really pays to watch people fight Ghee. They really don't. Like, it's very rare. Like, Gordon makes so much money from these who's number one. And so the reason and the game is just exploded. Look at the ADCC. They sold out this stadium, and it was an awesome event. And I bet they broke all records for viewership. But that, if you backtrack it and how this thing grew and the amount of instructors, you just mentioned before, Miguel, that you're at Weston Renzo's. That's Stan Beck. I met Stan Beck 20 plus years ago. I don't know if you know, Stan Beck was one of the first guys to fight out of Renzo's. He fought a black belt as a white belt. And the reason I just wanted to mention, like, the thanks to Renzo and what people don't realize, that man affected. I mean, there's so many affiliates and awesome instructors that come out of that lineage. Mark Cerrone and Magno Gamma and Carl Provic, so many great instructors.
It's a deep pool.
It's a deep pool. And it's like there's an admiral and there's a general. Renzo Gracie is that general. He's that admiral that people don't realize the effect he had on.
We had Stephen Williams on. I know he's a Danaher black belt. We had him on.
No. Stephen Williams.
Stephen Williams, yeah.
Steve Williams.
Okay. Oh, Steve. Okay.
Yeah,
he's a young guy. Steve's
a good guy.
Late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
I think it goes
Steve
back
was
to
attending my classes last year.
What was that? I'm sorry.
No, Steve was attending my classes.
Okay.
But I actually don't think he's teaching now. He's an excellent teacher also.
He had I forget the name. He did have his own academy. I don't know if he still has. I know he's really deep into the social media stuff now. Mm-hmm. He's doing more like fight breakdowns and like kind of some funny stuff. I don't know if he got, is it like arena? Not arena. I don't know if I don't see a lot of stuff where he's like showing training videos or moves anymore or anything like that. I don't know that he doesn't still have his gym though. But
no. Told me, I haven't seen Steve. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But he, from what I was told, Steve, he's doing, I think it's called Steve Strangles People.
Yeah. That's his name. That's one of his handles. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think he's doing a lot of those little documentaries on things. Yeah. I've watched a couple. I thought he did a great job.
He's starting to actually do like some interviews. I'm sure he's
content. He's a content creator now. Yeah. I mean, you could officially say it.
Yeah. He's the guy that after we interviewed, we wound up getting on TikTok. He's like, get on there. There aren't any podcasts on there posting. And I was just like, all right, let me give it a shot. And we've done pretty good, and it's definitely helped. I'd actually like to go back to, we always ask, I'm sure you've got, a story to tell. How did you get involved with martial arts yourself? How old were you? When was that first time that you either stepped on the jiu-jitsu mat or you like everyone else, mom had me take Taekwondo when I was a kid. Go ahead and tell us how you got started.
Well, I was actually, I mentioned earlier, at one time I was a bigger guy, muscular and stuff. And in my late teens, early 20s, I bought all those muscle mags and would eat 6 times a day and take all those protein shakes and all that stuff. And as I got into my later 20s, I wanted to do a martial art. And so I was thinking karate. And I joined a karate school, Miyazaki's Karate in Queens, New York. I joined that school. I was going about 2 months. And then Sensei Miyazaki asked me if I would join in the Nawaza class. And I was like, what is that? And he was like, it's a form of submission grappling. I was like, okay. I had no idea what that was. I took the class. I fell in love instantly. I literally got beat up for I must have got tapped every 5 seconds for about an hour straight. I had no idea what I was doing. And then that particular guy that was teaching that class ended up competing at an event. And I went. And I think this was probably end of 1998. I went to the event. And I was trying to make my way to the center of the ring. Wasn't many rings, and it wasn't a stands or anything. Everybody's just crowded around a mat. So I make my way through, and there's a gentleman mounted on another guy, and he's got this shirt on that says Renzo Gracie Cyclones. And that's what we were called at one time, the Renzo Gracie Cyclones. And I was wondering, I was like, I didn't even know who the Gracie family was. And I was like wondering, damn, I wonder who these guys are. And as I made my way to other mats, they were the dominant players in every match. And I was like, damn, wonder what this is. This is so long ago. Probably this generation will like laugh, but people didn't carry cell phones. And I don't know. Right? Now you can't even tell.
You're talking your 90s we're still probably coming off of beepers.
Was that karate school on Northern Boulevard in Flushing?
Yeah.
Was that? Wait, the karate school was on Northern Boulevard in Flushing.
Yes, sir. That is Miyazaki.
Near the fort there. It was just down from the fort. Dude, I went to that karate school. Miyazaki was my sensei.
Small world.
Wow. A long time ago. I was like, I don't know, 13 years old.
I was like 75 now.
I'm like 3,000 years old now. So. No, I'm 54. I've just turned 55.
You're still a baby, man. So you should get on the mats.
So Mike and I probably...
Professor, tell him you're never too old. Never too old to start.
I'm just starting out, man.
Was it the best time to start was when you were, 5? Yeah. And today?
And today,
55. That's a great 55.
That's like
55.
Like
there you go.
Those are the two best times to start.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago,
and
the next best time is right now.
Yeah. But go ahead. So karate is where you got. Oh, so you're saying Renzo's competition,
the Cyclones.
Cyclones. They were dominating everybody at this event. Probably the end of 1998. Wow. Before I left there, I started asking people, "Hey, who are they?" And then somebody was, this guy's got a school in the city. You got to go there. You got to look him up. Like, so I kept asking, hey, anybody have the address? Everybody kept saying no. Back then, if you wanted to find out information, it was either the yellow pages or you dialed 411 on the phone. It was only two ways.
Or somebody.
They weren't in the yellow pages.
We have lots of older listeners.
Okay.
So you know.
Yeah. You could have
this will resonate.
You could have went to Manhattan. And you could have asked a cabbie. Cabbies know everything.
Yeah, that was pre-GPS.
Yeah, pre-Uber.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually, I ended up calling 411 because they weren't in the yellow page. I looked through every different book I could find. I was dialing 411, and they gave me a number to the Renzo Gracie Academy. I called that number probably for about 2 months straight. And all it would do is ring, ring, ring. No one ever answered. Yeah, this is how the
Great
academy.
Marketing.
This is how the academy was run a long time ago. I don't even know if that was his number. I literally called it every day, 6 times a day, every different time I could think of to see if somebody would answer.
Wow.
They never did. Waited for about 2 months. Then on a Friday night, I was going out to dinner with my wife, and I said, "Hey, could we stop at this address?" And she was like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Hey, I don't know. I just want to see if this place really exists." I went there, went upstairs. We famously were known as the Academy above the Methadone Clinic because I guess Renzo got really cheap space at that time. And we were on the 3rd or 4th floor. I forget what floor we were on, but the floors below us it was a methadone clinic where you had to be homeless. And either back then, HIV and AIDS were like the pandemic of that time. So you had to have like basically the 3 things. You had to be homeless or AIDS or HIV positive, homeless, and addicted to methadone.
You had to have all 3 of them to be able to.
Yeah, to be in there. So
great.
It was a requirement.
Yeah, so that's where he was, above the methadone clinic. I went there on a Friday night. I went up in the elevator. The elevator door would open up. And if you ever watched old footage of Renzo rolling with Hyan or Renzo rolling with John, that was the academy above the methadone clinic. So the elevator doors open. I step out. There's this little bench. And I remember, I don't know if you guys have had Sean Williams on, but everybody knows who Sean is. John has a Renzo's in Tennessee, but he's also the announcer. He just did ADCC, awesome announcer, and also an amazing teacher also. So I open it up and Sean is right there. And I go, "Hey, could I watch?" And he goes, "Yeah, sit down and watch." I watched everybody roll. I asked him if I could come back on Monday and join. He said, "Come back." And Monday morning I was there. I left there on cloud 9. I literally got killed for like 2 hours against people half my size. I ran out of there. I think it was a quarter because no one had cell phones back then. I ran to Penn Station. I threw a quarter in the payphone because there were payphones everywhere.
Made by a company called Bell that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. I called my wife and I say to her, my God, I love this. And she started asking me questions. She was asking me what it was like. And I told her, and she goes, so what happens? I go, like you have to make this man give up. And she goes, so does he say give up? I go, he taps you and then you let go of him. And she goes, why would you do this? And she just couldn't understand it. Obviously, it's my ex-wife.
Wait till I get home.
It's your ex-wife, did you say? Obviously, it's my ex-wife.
Yeah. I got married a second. My wife is so supportive of everything I do now. But the first way I got married young, our views were a little bit different as we got older.
Guilty.
Yeah. So
I want to ask you this very particular question. What was it about that feeling? You said you went out there, you on cloud 9. For you, I know what it was for me. What about that feeling? How or why did you fall in love?
At that time, I didn't understand it. But now, I mean, it all is for different people. Everybody interprets it different. But for me, I can tell you now, sitting back and looking back, and that is I'm not a person that can sit and meditate because my mind will run everywhere. I'll start thinking about moves and angles and like I just can't turn it off. But when I'm on the mat rolling, it's my form of meditation. I can't think of anything else. I can't be somewhere else. I can't worry about tomorrow. I can't worry if a bill was paid, if I have an appointment. I'm on the mat rolling. And I mean, besides all the other things that it does, the bonding and the friendships and the cardio aspect of it and the mental like stimulate, so many other things. But the main thing is that was like, it became the sanctuary of like being able to roll and nothing else. Like there was no other thing. I listen to Joe Rogan sometimes and he talks about that in the form of playing pool and, I get there's some other sports too he mentions.
Archery.
Archery. Yeah, archery. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was like the first time, it was like, wow. And then became the other aspect of like, I coached a bunch of UFC guys, Bellator, and I teach fighting, but I try not to. I love BJJ more. And it's a different sport. Like Nogi is totally different than Ghee. Ghee and Nogi are totally different than BJJ fighting. They're totally different games. The angles, the spinal cord lines, their tilts, like everything is different. And MMA, you're crazy if you pass guard and you want to end up in half. There's so many things that are opposite.
I'd rather be in half.
Yeah, you have to be in half.
Yeah. You control the hips.
You control the hips.
Rain down elbows.
Yeah, everybody has a shot with a haymaker once they stand. And if our game is BJJ, we have to be able to control a man, manipulate their angles. Like, I got off the subject for a second with the question.
It was talking about that moment, like what made you fall in love, and
yeah, it's for me, it's the mental. Yeah. It's just the mental.
I do have I won't call it a follow-up question, but I'm always interested in the relationships that we have outside of jiu-jitsu, meaning like wives, girlfriends, and things like that. If you don't mind, you said your wife is very supportive now. Was your first wife not supportive of jiu-jitsu? We don't have to go into why you got divorced, but was there like, what are you doing? Why do you got to, like, I did have that in the beginning. My girlfriend, now wife, has basically said, okay, I've got to let you do what you want to do. And she found kickboxing and she's passionate about that. So she found something that I won't say equally as passionate about. She found a passion that can compare to my passion for jiu-jitsu. But for you, do you mind talking about that a little bit? Was your first wife not supportive and like, where are you going and why are you there so long? Like, did you have that?
100%.
Yeah.
Most people don't have something that they fall in love with so passionately.
Some people never find that at any time in their life at all.
Yeah,
right?
That's most people, Milton.
Yeah.
That really is.
Yeah.
So it's hard. And I like now I'm reflective about it, but if they've never found it, then they can't understand me. Mm-hmm. Like be so passionate about it. So I can see their perspective on it, like critical of it, not accepting of it, because they don't understand it. Like they can't picture, like, why is this person so ridiculously passionate about this? Yeah. And most people don't. I feel fortunate. Maybe somebody else might look at it different because, they want to, look at many different things. So they never fall in love with something so passionate deeply. But for me, it's my personality. It fits.
Does your current wife train?
No, she doesn't actually.
Okay.
No, she was a fitness competitor at one time. Okay. She helps me. I do something else outside of BJJ also. I can't support myself, so BJJ. So she helps me with that also, but she's super supportive. Yeah. I'm very fortunate. My daughter's super supportive. My daughter did play BJJ, but enjoys dance more than that. And my wife never has, but incredibly supportive of what I do. And I'm fortunate. I feel very lucky to have her. Yeah.
I feel like you'd be like you're a very intentional person, especially like when I watch you, like, again, you're very specific. You've said, and you even asked us earlier, like, do you guys play BJJ? Is there a reason why you use that term? Like a lot of us will say train, I'm going to the gym. You've used that specifically, those words together. Is there a reason for that for you? Is that something that was kind of like taught to you from the beginning?
Of why I term it the game?
Well, you say, do you play BJJ?
Game and play.
You'll say, like play. You ask us, do you guys play? Do you play BJJ?
Oh man, that's a great question. And I could tell you a bunch of different angles of that. Yeah, but like people sometimes, we'll play. I'll just tell you one angle of it. People sometimes will say the word train. What's train? Trains with intensity. Like if you go to, I'm going to go train, like to exercise, right? Yeah. So you're going to go in there with intensity, right?
Train.
To me, it's a game. It's a game of chess. Do I increase my intensity? Potentially at times, if there's an opportunity to advance my position, or if I need to counter at something. But if that isn't the opportunity, and I'll use a white belt as an example, a white belt will grab you and tense every muscle up because they're thinking training. Yeah, I got to work out, got to be strong. But as you get better at the game, like guys loosey, and then at whatever time he needs to increase the intensity, because there is that opportunity to finish a submission, attempt a pass because an angle's open or a pocket's open. Yeah, okay, so they increase the intensity. But up until that point, you were playing a game. You were looking at his position of his hands. Like, so to me, it is a game. It's a game. It's a puzzle. It's a mechanical, like, unknown of a person. Like, I don't know anything about you. I don't know how much your shoulders rotate. I don't know how strong your grips are. Like, it's this game of an unknown. So to me, it is a game. Okay. Yeah, that's what it's this beautiful game of of interchanging chess pieces and unknown. And that's what the human mind gets so stimulated in, this addiction. Yep. I don't know. I never played archery, but I did play golf for a little bit. And then I realized it, like, in golf, like, I have these friends who are so passionate and addicted to it. And I was always wondering, like, I wonder what their addiction is to it.
Golf is never ending, just like jiu-jitsu. I play golf.
Yeah, because it's a game you can't master, because the unknown and the variable is always so, it's, every angle, everything changes within 4 inches. And then when there's 4 inches, there's like 3 to 4 counters, whether offensive or defensive, the moment they move those 4 inches. So I need to reprocess and rethink. And then really at the highest levels, it's about read and reaction speed. The moment I read, can I react fast enough? That's what the difference is between Gordon and the next guy. They all know the same moves. Like, at this point, there's no surprises. If you want to tell me that a couple of years ago, when Johnny came up with the system of the leg locks and the entries, there was a surprise, but not anymore. Mm-hmm. So that is taken out of the equation. You hear that? So now it becomes this game of, like, exchanging, like, moves and pieces and angles. And I'm sorry to ramp.
No,
that's-
you're on a talk
that
show.
is-
You got to talk. I love it. Thank
That
you.
is that is exactly how I think of jiu-jitsu, and I've self-diagnosed all my issues to bandwidth issues. I know the moves. I could sit there. You could just like show me like a slideshow, like just like cards, and just go, what's this person doing? What's this person doing? I could tell you. But like when you're in a situation and you've never been in that situation before, and then I know what to do, but I can't do it fast enough because they're already faster than I am. And that's where you find the other person. That's how you know that's when you really go like, man, that was nice. Because you understood that you knew how to get out of that.
Well, you knew it like it was about to happen.
Yeah,
but by
you
the
saw
time
it coming.
it's already done.
Yeah.
He's already got you in a precarious position.
And when you're a white belt, it's like that scene from Austin Powers when he's going to get run over by the steamroller. And it's so slow and it's funny.
so far away forever.
But in jiu-jitsu, dude, you could literally get steamrolled like that just because you're dumb. And not dumb, but just like you just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Sloth crossing a railroad.
And to go on to the playing the game thing, it's like, again, like the white belt, I was like the super tense up. I'm sure everybody goes through that phase. And it's like when you're playing, you have fun.
Yeah.
When you take something serious, you're tense.
Yeah.
Right. And then on top of that, the journey in jiu-jitsu, I think the reason like I love jiu-jitsu, which is the same reason you love jiu-jitsu, the cerebral thing, and it's never ending. It's so many successful people have said this. It's like, my dream was to get a Lamborghini. The journey to get the Lamborghini is way more fun than when you push the start button and drive it down the street.
I actually agree with that.
Right? We are never going to get to the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad analogy.
Well, I think I get the analogy of like once you get there, you're like, wait a minute,
The journey's fun.
you kind of almost miss the journey. Well, the journey
The
was
journey is the fun part.
Enjoy that journey. I think we say that in jiu-jitsu, like enjoy the journey because.
What was more fun, the Jits King events that we met at, or the car ride there and back?
The car ride there and back. I remember more about the car ride there and back.
And the memory that tied the car ride was the event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like that's how we kind of met up, and that's how I feel about jiu-jitsu. And it's only because I've had the life experience of having different journeys, like when I was in the military and stuff like that. Like now it's like my heyday shit.
Yeah.
And I understand how much I enjoy it.
In the moment,
And
though, it's just like,
I'm having with jiu-jitsu, I'm having a lucid dream because like I realize how awesome this is, and I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He fell in love. I think it's why he and I get along. Like we fell in love immediately. I think like I day one, I can remember my coach being like, come into my guard, and it was it. As soon as he moved me, I was just like, I'm in the right place. I kind of feel like it was the same way for you. It was immediate.
It was getting my ass. It was getting my ass whooped, and I was like, "That's not happening again."
So you started at Renzo's, and it's how many years have you been there now?
Yeah, Milton, could I just say something?
Sure, absolutely.
I was saying, Miguel, that is really well said because that references the same thing in your belief about the color of the belt. Because if when you're young, you think your life is you're going to live forever. And then you get older, you have like occurrences, and Milton was talking about the heart attack and things like that. Like you realize, like, man, I'm not going to be around here forever.
Any day now.
So, yes.
Holy cow! Don't cut it short, bro.
Yeah. So you understand that, like, that's why, like I say, like I understand the goal of getting belts, but enjoy the journey because at some point, if you understand your life expectancy, and let's say you go from white belt at age 20 to hypothetically black belt to age 50. Now, do you start giving the belts back? Because there is a decline after. That's why I just enjoy the journey. Just enjoy the journey, man.
So again, you've been at Renzo's from the beginning, never under another umbrella. So you trained under Renzo's from white to, are you a third degree? A fifth degree. I'm sorry. Fifth degree black belt now.
Yeah.
All under Renzo.
It's a lot of years.
All under Renzo. I was John Danaher's first black belt.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
In 2005. When I was a white belt, Johnny was a purple. He had just gotten a purple. He wasn't teaching. There used to be a different teacher every single day. There was Matt Serra used to teach 2 days. Nick Serra used to teach one of the days. And Johnny used to actually teach one day. I think it was Tuesday. So there was a different instructor every day. Renzo Gracie was the instructor, I think, on Friday. And Johnny and Sean used to split the class. Sean Williams, gentleman that is the announcer. It's an amazing teacher. And John used to split. So one of them would teach. When I was a white belt, private lessons really no one did. And this is probably like 1999, somewhere around there. We were at the methadone clinic. And Johnny said to me, I was a white belt, and I remember catching a Kimura on another white belt. It was just atrocious rolling. And he said, come over here. And then he said, next time, do this. And I was like, okay. And that's how a relationship started. I literally was Johnny's uke for years. When GSP first came to Renzo's, I was the uke. And I was just, was the one that, if you know Johnny's teaching style, he teaches to kind of the higher belts in the room. And then like it gets funneled down from them to the rest of the class, like the other students help. That's how Johnny teaches. So Johnny, as like a white belt, and then I was probably like 3 months or 4 months in, and a friend there came up and he said, hey, why don't we, and if we could pay him to do privates with us? And I was like, what is that? And he was like, like me and you pay him a few dollars, and he showed us a couple of moves
on the side.
Yeah, this is how long ago this was.
Yeah, on the side, bro. Money solves everything.
And at that time, John, I don't know if you guys know John's story, but John, besides going to Columbia, John was a bouncer.
Yeah, I was gonna say these were during the bouncer days when he.
Yeah, these are during the bouncer days.
His bow tie was a clip-on bow tie because he knew it was a threat to wear a bow tie that they could strangle him with or something like that.
Yeah, Miguel, Johnny would come in the next day and I'd go, you know, any fights? He was like, yeah, mate. And then we'd go through like, for 20 minutes on who he choked out, who he dragged out of the bar, like what bottle hit him in the back of the head.
I wonder if he ever took off his blazer before a fight and then gave the blazer to the guy and then say, because I feel like he's so smart and like playing 4D chess that all he wants to do is like practice like some osotogari, some bullshit like that. And he's like, hey, this is a $400 jacket. I'm going to kick you out of this club. If your shoulders touch the mat or the floor, you have to give me the jacket back. If not, you can keep it. Just so he could practice the move.
I will tell you guys a great story that I don't think anybody has ever repeated.
Exclusive. Let's hear it.
So this is an exclusive. So John wrote that book. He was so instrumental in writing that first book with Hoyler and Renzo. And then John wrote another book. I forget the other book he wrote. Do you guys know the name of it?
I can tell you in about 7 seconds.
Yeah, you can look it up. So there was a gentleman at Renzo's that, so the reason I bring it up is that you mentioned Johnny practicing his steps and throws and stuff. So I'm going to fast forward the story, but this gentleman's in bed with his wife. And for weeks, this lady, his wife had been telling him about this crazy man on the subway platforms. They would do like these steps and like, it was just, that was insane. And he was like, man, you guys see this guy, he's crazy. He's on the platform. He gets on the train. He starts doing these steps. It's like, no one's with him. It's really weird. And they're in bed. And this guy, Frank, buys the book. I forget Frank's last name, but he buys John's book and he opens it up. And as he's going through it, she goes, oh my God, that's the guy. Johnny was practicing his throws on the subway.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Is it mastering jiu-jitsu?
Yes. And to finish off that story is that I'm doing privates with John. The privates would be like 2.5, 3 hours long. Back then, Renzo's didn't have a morning class. It was either afternoon or evening. And Johnny would teach that one afternoon class, and he would always be there in the afternoon with me. And we would do these privates that were like 2.5 hours long, to the point where the guy that was the partner, the gentleman that was my friend at the time, he would have to go home. He lived far on Long Island. It was a long drive for him. So he would have to go, hey guys, I have to get out of here. And then, and that's before people really knew who Johnny was and how astute he was at the game. And he's really a mastermind of the game. He really is. Really. Yeah.
And a lot of other games. I mean, his love for jiu-jitsu, sambo, judo, wrestling, catch
he's
wrestling.
teaching stand-up, right? He's teaching stand-up to a lot of his guys.
You guys got to spend some time with him. He's beyond that.
Yeah.
He's
help us out.
Knowledgeable guy on airplanes. His father was like a fighter pilot. Forget about knives. I mean, Yeah, and other things too. You can talk to John about from things from Led Zeppelin and music to guns. Like
Philosophy.
Yeah. I tell you a quick story is, John's an atheist, and I don't, maybe he follows religion. I'm not sure. So I shouldn't say that, but he's read the Torah, the Quran, and the Bible multiple times. And there was a gentleman one time during Ramadan that made some mention to another gentleman that was Muslim about what the Quran says. And John interrupted and said, this is how I know that he read it. And he goes, no, that's not what it says. It says this. And he proceeded to say exactly what the verses say. And I said, John, you study the Quran? He said, no. And I said, you've read the Quran? He said, multiple times. And I said, have you read the Bible? He said, multiple times. How about the Torah? Multiple times. So John's he's well-versed in.
Does he have a photographic memory?
He's got something. He's intelligent for sure.
Sounds like he's just curious, man. He's curious energy.
He's curious about everything. Yeah,
true.
And once he delves into a topic, John is really, really smart about a lot of topics. I tried to get him to do a podcast, but I think his passion is for teaching.
Like to host a podcast?
I just, if you don't.
He could do a solo one like Bill Burr does, where he just sits in front of the camera. I'd listen to him talk.
Because you know what? He would be a great podcast host, just because he's so well knowledge, but he doesn't make you feel like he knows more than you. He's just real. And there's so many topics that you'll just be blown away on how deep he knows about the topic. I'll tell you a fascinating story. It's like, Johnny took me under his wing and taught me, and, I'm thankful because now I've replaced him there, and he's done so many great things for me and appreciative of it. And I'll tell you a story about him. This probably was around 2001 where he really started teaching me, and his private started to grow because back then it was you couldn't really have access to knowledge. So if somebody knew a move, everybody crowded around like, hey, I got a move to show you. Everybody oh my God, they'd run over and everybody's sitting in the huddle. So John knew a lot. It was he was so far more advanced than everybody. And one day he said to me, I want you to watch this VHS tape. I know now kids probably what are VHS tapes? But my daughter recently, there was a VHS tape on the street. This is about a couple of years ago, actually now. And she looks at it. She goes, what is that? I go, it's a VHS tape. And she goes, but what is it? And I was like, gosh. So sometimes when I make mention, I just think everybody knows what a VHS tape is. And I'll tell a different story about that in a second about Xerox. But so I end up, he gives me a VHS tape. It's 8 hours because back then it was the VHS tapes, you can select the speed. It was 8 hours of Hickson Gracie rolling. And it was, some of it was some was grainy, some was black and white. Most of it didn't have sound. It's and sometimes it was hard to find who Hickson was. And so we're talking 8 hours.
Yeah.
And John knew exactly certain positions, he wanted me to review and go over. And I was like, when is that? He was 3 hours and 33 seconds. Okay. At one point I go to him, Johnny, how many times have you watched? And he said about 40. And if you equate to 40, because I was thinking this when I went home and I was like, he watched this 40 times.
It's 4 times 8.
No, we're talking about 40 times 8. So basically you didn't go to work.
Hours.
Yeah, you didn't go to, if you think about a 40-hour work week, you basically didn't go to work for 5 weeks and you just watch it every day. So his intensity for the sport is you can see it in some of the kids and their performances in ADCC this past couple of weeks ago. He's brilliant. He's really smart.
Tell us the VHS. Was that, you mentioned something else? Was it your daughter with the VHS tape?
Yeah, she saw one laying in the
he had another story, he said.
About the Xerox. I was teaching recently about this Olympic roll to go to a Darce, and I was trying to explain the angle of what you're trying to do and how you're trying basically to press bone and flesh up into one of the arteries. Basically, you're blood collecting. You have the 2 major arteries in the front and the back. And I was trying to explain how the form should almost go across like a Xerox. What I meant was a copy machine. Like, and I said, as a Xerox machine. And afterwards, one of the young men in the room goes, "Professor, can I ask you a question?" And I go, "Yeah. What's a Xerox machine?" And I went, "Oh my God. Okay." I had another young lady said to me, just a fabulous young lady in the class, goes, you know, a lot of people don't know what Xerox means. And I was like, yeah, okay. I get, yeah, you're right.
I know.
It's just a company in the S&P 500.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Professor, we have a whole bunch of questions. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We got a few questions. I picked out some of my favorite. I definitely want to get to these listener questions if you don't mind. We're going to dive right in. Okay. Yes. We have B. Anderson. Esquire. I don't know if you might know some of these people. They might be students. I think one of them was a student, but we'll say, so is there a bar fight or altercation story from the early 90s that you, Renzo, and or Danaher, or with you, Renzo, and or Danaher? Was that the one that you told us already?
A bar fight?
Yeah, this person, I guess he might know you. Do you know a B. Anderson?
I do. Yeah, no, I do.
Okay, he says, is there a bar fight or altercation story from the early 90s with you, Renzo, and Danaher?
No, not the three of us.
No?
No,
Okay.
John used to get into a lot of altercations, but through bouncing.
Yeah.
No, not the three of us.
And then he says, was Zubaz or a fanny pack involved? Again, it sounds like this guy's got some intimate knowledge of a story.
Yeah, no, I don't know that. No.
Okay, so we'll move on.
Damn.
So we have Tommy _Nightmare. He said, I did a 3-day seminar with Professor Mike and the Happy Pill guys, changed my game completely. His question is, where did the term dead duck come from?
Dead duck. I mean, dead duck. I usually say dead limb.
Okay.
Yeah. Dead duck. I usually say dead limb.
Okay.
I feel like in BJJ, you got 4 limbs. They should all be making contact. And if one removes contact, whether it be a wedge, a frame, or a grip, you should never drop a second. So if you understand that you have a head also, so the head does play a factor in certain positions. But for the most part, limbs repeatedly, especially in the lower levels, every limb has a purpose. Every position, every grip, every angle has a purpose. So yeah. I will yell out, like, you got a dead limb on that. Like, because there's an inefficiency somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
100%.
All right.
I just thought about the neck thing you said, man, and you're totally right.
What's that?
The head. It's like when you're on your belly, your head's always up. If you're belly down, your head is a limb that's used to post a lot, especially for counterbalance moves. If both of your other limbs are being used, and then when you're on your back, your head's always off the mat, so you could stay in a rocking chair.
I learned that from one of my former coach, Adolfo.
Yeah,
he used to, every time I rolled with him, he was using his head to base, and I
just thought about it
right
now.
A lot. Yeah, no, it was something that that I never did, and then I just like rolling with him. Really, actually watching him roll, I would see him be able to do some really weird stuff while he was based on his head. I'm like, Jesus,
you could float. You could float a lot better.
Yeah. All right, we have another question. We have Mary Oso. _Moley. Again, I don't know if you know this person. What advice would you give a BJJ student looking for a new school?
Well, that's a good question. If they're a new student, I want the environment more. If you fall in love with the game, and especially with social media now, you'll know after a couple of years, good teaching, or if there's fundamentals lacking, like if you become a fan of the game. But in the beginning, I think environment is very big. I think that, it's an intimidating sport. Like especially you go into Renzo's, and I've been there a long time, so I just walk in, but I always get the same thing. Like my nephew told me not too long ago, he's like, man, it's like very intimidating to walk in here, and you lose sight of that because we've been around the game so long. So for the new person, like somewhere comfortable that you'll want to return the next day and the following day and the following day. And if you fall in love with the art, but even in rehabs, right? In rehab, they have these people go for 28 consecutive days. because they've realized that somehow habits are broken at that time. So in the beginning, environment, just a cool vibe, good people, like some reason why I want to return. But if you, in the beginning, it's like, meathead kind of was a term that they used to use for gyms back in the days. I don't really know how to describe, where it's like not warm, not friendly, like
competitive.
Yeah, like meathead is usually like there's a bunch of big guys walking around and like flexing, popping out their chest, you know.
In the beginning, this environment that you want to go back the next day, that it's a family atmosphere. Later on, if you fall in love with it, we'll reevaluate it at that point. We'll look at it from a different angle.
What about a higher ranking person trying to find a new gym, like purple and up, has to move, go find a new gym? What do you look for there?
Now, then the question then is, what is that guy's goal? Is that to compete? Is that because if the goal is to compete, then you're looking for the highest level trainers. You're looking for two things. Let's say the excellence of the instructor, or some form that you watch him teach and you go, you know, there's something different here than where you've been. Otherwise you should stay. And then the second thing is, steel does sharpen steel. And then I had mentioned earlier about read and reaction speed. And then you got, and like at Renzo's, these kids exploded. And what the fame of that thing built is like, you know, in order for you to, it's almost like a video game. In video games, you buy this video game and then you're on level 1, right? From the beginning, you're going, wow, this is so fast, I can't keep up. Play it for a year, right? And then you're on level 9 and you return to level 1 and you're like, my God, this is so slow, I'm bored. And that's what read and reaction speed is. Like, so if you're a purple belt and you're looking to compete at a super high level, you need to see the game at a fast pace, because you have to learn to read and react faster. So your training partners, incredibly important, because what level of trainers do you have? Competitive trainers there, guys competing already or about to compete, about to make breakthroughs. You want those speed. You also want to find there, like one of the things that I saw, John had a comment on Lex Friedman's show recently about Gary. And you know, he made this, he basically was explaining like how his gym has become like a big guy gym.
I retweeted that.
Yeah.
I've never heard a coach say something like that.
Oh, definitely. That's a big fact. Like if you're like a 240, 250, I don't have enough players in Manhattan for me to feed them to you so I wouldn't recommend coming here. Yeah. But if you're a 170 or 150, I got sharks for you. They're going to improve, whether you beat them up or not, doesn't matter. You just want to get better. So they're going to give you high level speed to read and react faster. Mm-hmm. If I go back to Gary, like, so the question with the purple belt is like, you got to also select a gym that has those parameters for you. That they're similar training partners for the brackets you're going to be in. So if you could find all three of those. Lastly, listen, if you're a competitor, you know, how did these guys train back in the days in Brazil? Then you don't need environment. You're there for a reason. You're there to get like significantly better. Your reading reaction speed. We addressed the issue with the instructor. Like, is he opening your eyes up to different dimensions? Hopefully he is, because, you know, if you're looking to compete at a high level and you're purple above, you want to find all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
I know that, you know, we've talked about this a little bit too. If you don't feel comfortable, especially, you know, there's a woman asking this question. If you don't feel comfortable in a gym, find another gym. You know, you should be, you know, take that. I don't know if, you know, everybody does it, but I mean, down here, everybody does a free week, you know, come in, check out the classes. You can, you know, come all 5, 6, 7 days, whatever you need. If you don't feel comfortable, you might be in the wrong gym. For a woman, I do think that it's important, especially again, after the events of the last few years, that you find a gym with a heavy female presence. I think that it's smart for women, for children, for girls to find a gym that does have that female presence.
That's one of his parameters. Yeah. Find what, like for you got to find the same people as you.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, we preach it. We shout it from the rooftops here that, you know, I think, you know, I guess, you know, I've been in for, you know, 7 of my not going on 9 years at a gym where it's a husband and wife team. So we've always had that female presence. We had more female coaches even in the adults classes for a long time. Flo, even Janet would help out. So I've kind of grown
Janet.
in that environment where I've seen that, and I think that usually we have on the average day we have more women in our class than men in the adults classes. Sometimes they split off, and there's a room they go to a different. We've got like a kind of a whole area where there's just a big, nice training room. What would be most gyms, like full training mat. Yeah. They go into that room, and sometimes we're together. And even when we're together, we kind of split the mat, and the girls roll with the girls. And then if the girls want to roll with the guys, it's kind of up to them. And that was pre all the drama. But very much since then, we really, again, are preaching. Find a school with a heavy female presence. And, again, especially if you have kids that you want to put into a class, I think it's real hard to drop your 12-year-old daughter off at a school where it's just men. That's strange for her, and it's probably not the best idea for the parent.
Well, I will interject that because there's something I do want to say. If the instructor is like really hands-on presence and understands the skill level of the room, the body, obviously you can see the body sizes, but understands like the inner role of that person, he can make it very good for that lady or the female that comes in. But that instructor has to pay really high level attention, and he should, because if a young lady's coming into the room and she has some experience, but is a dom of males, like you got to pair her with the right people. And then you also have to pair her with people that understand that, hey, I go back to the saying, when I say it's a game. It's a game. And if you understand it's a game, you have to understand, like the person, when there's so much of a strength disparity, hypothetically, between a man and a woman, not always, but in sometimes there are, that the gentleman that's rolling with the female understand how to play the game. Like it's not about strength. It's about manipulation of joints and angles, and because then it becomes a game. And so if you can't find a school, hopefully that has a heavy presence of women, hopefully you can find an instructor that is super hands-on and interview them. For anyone females out there, interview them. Like, how does he run the class? Audit the class. Take the class one time, because most instructors, Miguel made a great example about his instructor earlier. A lot of instructors don't do that, Miguel, where they'll show that hypothetically they're teaching a Nogi class, but they also explain hey guys, if the guy has a lapel on, if he has a top on, these are the different changes, or these are the different grips, or this is something you shouldn't do. So potentially a young lady could find a great spot.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Did you? I thought you had follow-up. I thought you were.
No, man, that's right on the head. I mean, I feel comfortable at my gym. Yeah. I could drop my kids off there.
Yeah. When I love when my coach said, when we're going to
I've also
drill
spent, I'm just sorry. I've also spent personal time with the people who teach at my gym. Even the blue belts that teach, I've gone to social events with them. We've watched fights together. So not in terms of hey, I'm going to do this to vet them, but through creating a friendship and a relationship with jiu-jitsu, I've vetted them essentially. Yeah.
I like when my coach, when we're going to drill or we're going to spar, he makes a point to say this now more than ever. He says, because we have a lot of big guys, he says, grab somebody that okay, we're ready to drill. Grab somebody that makes sense. Yeah. When he sees the 150-pound white belt,
he'll stop
with the with me. I think for me, he'll know that I'm gonna, I jokingly say I'll be gentle. I'll be gentle. He'll be like, hey, first day. He knows that I do like to teach, not coach, but I'm gonna teach, and I'm gonna do a little jiu-jitsu 101 when it's a brand new person. But again, he's not gonna let the 150-pound white belt that's been there for maybe a month roll with the purple belt that's close to twice his weight. He knows it, and he moves people around. He'll be like, no, come here, go over here,
when
go over here.
When you get the white on white,
yeah,
dude, that gets epic.
We have a lot of big guys in my gym. I'm over 230, and we have guys that are heavier than me, and a lot of them are white belts. And a lot of them, they're still in the mindset where I want to win and I want to win practice versus like really, really understanding. Like they haven't learned to leave the ego at the door. I definitely think that's something that takes a little time. And those guys, they just want to win. They want to win drilling and they want to win, the actual.
I think we talk about this so much, man. I just think it's a phase you have to go through. It's part of the journey. And I think it's a part of the journey that everybody gets to experience.
Do you agree with that, Professor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Doesn't matter, dude. How many people have we had on here?
Yeah.
Say like, if you got to say something to a white belt, what is it? They're like, take it easy. Yeah. I think I'm waiting for the instructor that we ask that question to and go, just be a fucking white belt because you're gonna do whatever you're gonna want to do.
Miguel's the guy that says, "No, I smash all the white belts. I don't care."
Yeah.
We were joking before. He wants to be known. He wants to be known as the guy that smashes all the new white belts.
So I was telling him earlier today. So there's this guy named Tom. Right, a great guy. His whole family are killers. His kid. I've probably been submitted by his whole entire family, even like his 8-year-old kid. But he was the first guy I ever rolled with, and I've always done. I did wrestling. I did combatives in the military. I love one-on-one sports. I like super competitive with the dumbest shit. It doesn't matter what it is. And so I put my daughter in it. And then, I was sitting there watching and I was like, well, I'm just here. I might as well it was maybe even a subconscious thing to do because I did want to do it. I don't know. And so anyways, I started doing it. First guy I roll with is Tom. Tom is a black belt judoka. At the time, he's brown belt. But I mean, he's like tough. Brazilian, he was a brown belt
under Cyborg as well.
His middle name's Hammer, right? So anyways, he's my first live roll ever at that school. And he obviously smashes past my guard, no problem. Gets inside control. He's just riding me, right? And then he's whispering in my ear. He's like, fight for your life. Fight. And I'm 30-something years old. I'm a grown man. And like, I didn't get offended one bit. I was like, man, he's right. I was like, that's it. I'm coming back. Like,
yeah. And you fell in love with it.
Yeah, well, I've always loved combat sports. My wrestling coach used to show us UFC stuff and talk about the UFC and even potentially joining it because he was a young wrestler, young grappler. In the military, we got taught the Gracie Combatives Jiu-Jitsu program, and I learned it at Fort Bragg. I learned it in Missouri during sapper school, and you get out. Like you, man. My stepdad at the time. He was the super for the community that we lived in, the apartments. So he had to hook up with the Adelphia guy. So we had the black box. We watched
cable, the cable guy.
You know what I'm saying? We watched the Showtime, the HBO home box office. Baby, watched all the fights, all the Tyson fights. I grew up always. Yeah, I came to America when the Gulf War was happening. So the first thing I saw in America was just like, what? Like, if we don't like somebody, we just go over there. Okay. I've always been into it.
All right, Professor, we've been on for about an hour and 50. We don't want to keep you all night. We have a little segment at the end of the episode. We call it the drill down.
The drill down.
These are some of the common questions that we get from a lot of people. So we've kind of put this together over time. By any chance, are you a fan of The Walking Dead? Are you Man,
I was up until about season 5, but I love those zombie things. Yeah. I love them. All those apocalypse movies. And
So I came up with this concept when we first started. We were probably a few episodes in, and I had just started watching. It was years after it had aired, and I just started watching. And he would ask everybody 3 questions. The main character, I forget his name. Right? He'd ask everybody 3 questions like, how many people have you killed? How many zombies have you killed? How many humans have you killed, and why? This is where this came from. So I started to ask a few of the same questions of everybody, and it's become the drill down. So I think this one's obvious, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your preference, Ghee or no Ghee?
No Ghee. Yeah.
All right. Takedown or pull guard?
Takedown.
Okay. Now then we get into some of the fun ones. Music during rolling, yes or no?
I blast it.
Yeah. Okay. What's the go-to?
What are you blasting?
When you're controlling that dial or the iPhone or the what do we call it? iTunes. And what are you listening to?
Is there a difference?
DJ.
Man, I put on such a wide range of stuff from DMX to Led Zeppelin to Tina Turner. I literally, I go to Michael Jackson and go to Drake. And you know what, because earlier I told you, like, there's so many people, there's 100 people. So I just try to mix it up, and I try to throw a little bit of everything, stuff that has a cool beat. I care more about beat sometimes. I don't pay attention to the words.
You guys, I think we mentioned it. Is it the Cro-Mags?
The Cro-Mags.
Is that guy a good?
Harley Flanagan.
He trains with you guys, right? He's been there for a really long time, right?
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. I actually saw him last week, and I think he's. I forgot where overseas. I think right now opening for, I think the Misfits or some band.
Misfits.
I think that's who's
Miguel could talk that genre of music.
Yeah, Harley's a good guy.
Yeah. If it's Misfits, it's probably like Misfits, Black Flag, and
I don't want to mess it. He sent me who, and I totally forgot. Like, sorry about that, Hall.
No.
I mean,
cool.
that's a very particular type of music. When you're talking about the Cro-Mags,
I thought you might mean, like, we go, because is that really, again, I don't know it. Is it really like hard rock? Is
it's
it like
more, it's
metal?
like, it's like metal punk.
Yeah.
But more like old school punk.
Like punk.
Ramones.
Okay.
And
Harley actually came out with a Ghee and a rash guard and shorts. So I have all of them.
Nice.
So, he actually came out a book too.
I think, did he do something with Epic? Was it Epic Roll? Does that name sound familiar? No.
What, from Matt?
Sure. I think he did the Cro-Mags.
Okay.
I think
like their
Matt at Epic Roll. I think he did the Cro-Mags gig. I'm almost positive. Don't quote me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now, are you a consumer? I use the word consumer of MMA and jiu-jitsu. Are you somebody that's watching the WNOs? You're watching the IBJJFs. I mean, I watched 12 hours of the ADCC on that Sunday, that whole day.
Brazil.
Are you somebody who's watching every chance they get when you're outside of the gym?
No.
You're the accountant that leaves the numbers at the office. That's you. You're not doing it outside.
I will watch certain players. I'll watch certain matches, but it's watch certain players that I'm a fan of. Yeah.
Who are those? Who are your favorite competitors to watch?
I obviously I love Gordon. I love Gary Tonin. I love the Rotolo brothers. I was super impressed with. I love actually Greg Jones.
Greg Jones is so good.
I think the best player to ever play the game was Rafa Mendes. So I know he doesn't compete anymore, but I still watch his stuff. Yeah. I just think that if you made him 220 pounds, like, people don't understand how deep the sequences go in the passing and stuff. And no disrespect to the that are considered high level.
There's a lot of goats.
Yeah, and if you watch them, they'll attempt 3 sequences and then pause. They don't understand how deep the sequences go, and with the positions of the hands, the knees, it's so much going on that if you increase this man's size to 220, you're just different level.
And undoubtedly one of the sexiest moves in jiu-jitsu, only when they do it and somebody from an AOJ school, is that long step pass. It looks so beautiful. You could not know anything about jiu-jitsu, and if somebody just shows you that white room, the white mats, white gi, black long sleeve, everything underneath it, and just like that clean long step pass. You just show that like as a gift to somebody, they'd be like, "That's dope."
AOJ.
Yeah,
you would know it right away.
You could tell when somebody watches the YouTube video and then does it at your gym. You're like, "Oh, okay, you want to be Cole Abate over here."
What is Professor? What is your ultimate goal in the world of jiu-jitsu?
I just wanted to affect one person in a positive way. I said earlier about what BJJ means to me internally. And if I could keep changing one person or helping one person have a better day, that's really my goal. Yeah. I don't seek, I'm not a rich guy in any manner, but I don't seek money. I'm thankful that I'm comfortable. And I just want to keep spreading BJJ and what it does to people. And it's like, I've seen it so many, from addicts to people that have been abused in different manners, from physically to sexually, and what it does to them. It gives them, like, what I described earlier, it gives them this happy pill. So if I can continue to try to help people, it's what I want to do for the time I'm here.
I don't know if you necessarily realize it. Like I don't know how many people outside of your circle and the people that you train. I don't know how many or comments that you're getting from people that are watching your stuff. Where do you see the happy pill going? Do you see that always just being this, or do you see that? I'm going to tell you from what I'm seeing as somebody. We're content creators. I'm seeing that you have the beginnings of something that's really incredible here.
I would like to, if I could, bring it to a point of doing retreats and seminars, but not just do them for BJJ, do them deeper. Mm-hmm. So that we have some life coaches, do a larger gathering. We can affect people and we could do stuff for holistic medicine, for meditation. There's a lot of other things that I would like to do. And those retreats, that's where I would like it to go eventually. Continue the stuff for the happy pill. Also be able to, I wanted to do it this year, but I thought about it too late. I wanted to try to do a sponsorship for 2 people anywhere in the United States. Go to the Worlds. I'll pay for it. I'll pay the registration, the hotel, and everything. But they just, for 2 minutes or a minute and a half, give a testimonial on how BJJ changed their life and what positive thing or what does it mean? And then a winner be selected from those 2. But I thought about it too late. But those are the type of things I would love to do, sponsor people so that they could compete. I don't care too much. I know that the business would have to make money in order to do these things, but that's not my goal. It's just to see if I could try to help people. And I love BJJ.
When you're putting out the content that you're putting out, and again, I don't know if you're being approached yet, but the sponsors and money will come. It will just come naturally. People will say, hey, would you like to work together? Would you like to do something together? And I think those things happen, especially when you're putting out good content. It doesn't necessarily have to be forced. And again, I think what you're doing is amazing. I love the content. I'm extremely happy when it's popping up in my feed now more and more.
Thank you.
And when we started, I almost felt like I was on your podcast. You asked us a lot of questions. Is that something that you've ever thought about? You mentioned something with Danaher before, but is it something that you think you would do under this happy pill umbrella?
That's not something I've given any thought to. Mm-hmm. I'd be open to it if it could somehow help people.
Yeah.
And spread what BJJ. That's what I told you guys. I appreciate you guys doing this. Thank people, you know what you look at BJJ and it looks like this, 2 guys battling and it looks like it hurts. And it's and then and if you could just get them to come through the door. And I said earlier about the environment, if you can create this environment, they come through the door and they just try it. And you're there for them and you're almost coddling them, bringing them along. And if they fall in love with it, it just changes their life.
Yeah.
You got to create that environment. That's where I'd like it to go, is to keep opening the doors for people to try it, not be intimidated by it, come in and feel what it does to people. And it's just amazing.
Makes you not want to leave, man.
I know, right? Makes you want to leave. Yep. Yeah, my wife says that I could live on a mat 24 hours a day. I'll tell you how awesome she is. She lets me have my rollout mat in the middle of the living room. And she used to have me roll it up and stick it back in the corner, but I live with a rollout mat in the living room.
Dude,
because
unsolicited, completely unsolicited. I get a text message from my wife that says, hey babe, if all these things kind of go this way, would you ever consider opening up a gym? Not teaching, but just opening up a gym, hiring a black belt and have that be a business. And then now you just have a gym to train at, when you're older.
Yeah.
And I was like, dope.
My coach opened his first gym at white belt.
Yeah.
Wow.
It makes total sense. You got to meet this guy.
Yeah. If you met him, you would somebody told him you could never own a gym. You couldn't start a gym at white belt. And he was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he went and did it. And
but his drive and I'll say my children trained under Felipe, and it's not discrediting anybody because there's a ton of ways to skin a cat, but man, the way he teaches the kids how fun he keeps it, but also so he's so serious, dude. No kids are talking. No, he's like I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. He just like knows.
He straddles that line.
He's got
of fun and
it's not luck. He has a written down system of how he does this, and I could just tell, man. It's just from years of experience, and he's got a knack for it, and he loves the sport. Even though sometimes it seems bitter, but like
one of the things that I love is when I show up to train, he's doing the kids class, and believe it or not, he always has a talk with them at the end. It's usually a few minutes. Yeah. Maybe a parent has come in and is having a problem with the kid, so
respect
he'll address everybody so that maybe that one kid is hearing, maybe somebody had a fight, bad grades. He has these chats, but a lot of times he could be talking to the adults too. The problem, the way you're going about something, not getting the training enough, that little guy that's on your shoulder being like, you could train tomorrow. Like it's relevant for all ages. And I really do like when I come, sometimes I'm smiling and I'm looking at the guys and I go, he's talking about you.
Yeah.
He's talking about you. Right
He's told me to shut up before on the bleachers. Yeah. He's made an example out of me on the bleachers. I'm like, I'm just here for the kids class, bro. Like,
so, Professor, we've got one last question for you. I'm going to let Miguel do the honors. We know that you're a Nogi guy, but
do you or do you not wash your jiu-jitsu belt?
I have no, I don't.
Okay.
You were just about to say never. You've never washed any of your jiu-jitsu belts?
My jiu-jitsu, not the black belt that I received from Johnny.
Okay. Other belts, yes, you did when you were a lower belt. You'd wash.
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
I could respect that, but I just wouldn't wear that belt.
But I don't know if you know this. There's a big community. I'll say a big community. There's a lot of people on each side of that.
There's a divide in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, one of my co-hosts, we used to argue about it. Like, he's like, I don't wash my belt. You're not supposed. More of an old school guy. He was a black belt when I was a purple belt.
His name is Junior.
And I would be like, I wash my belt after every session. I throw it in with my Ghee, and he's like, you're not supposed to do that. You can't do that. Why would you do that? Yeah. And so that argument turned into us having a little fun with it on the show. There's a different answer from everybody. Some people get a little angry about it. Like, you shouldn't do that.
The juju.
It's it's fading and it makes it look like you trained more. And I was like, but I'm going to buy a new one when it fades too much or right. So
now I got to buy.
Believe it or not, there's a community out here that actually they get into it. One of the most commented videos that you'll see, like if you put, I've actually shown like
Mike
just
posted.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Putting your belt inside of the washing machine, watch how many comments that gets on a video. Yeah. It's crazy how divisive, the silliest of issues, but how divisive it is.
That's the equivalent of stirring the pot, man. And you don't even have to comment. The comments will comment on the comments. Like, they're fighting. They're like, oh, they get into it, bro. Because you wash your belt.
There was a big thing recently with Renzo about which side you tie your belt on in the loops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and like what side the
black
stripe should lie.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be on the
you go.
It should be on the left.
Left lapel over right lapel.
Yeah, but the
right,
belt,
and then when you tie, I think it stripes to the right. Because it's left.
It's
you're
to
right.
the left.
Yeah,
it's to the left.
Yeah, you're right. It's because it's the opposite side. It's the same side as your sword, right? Or something like that.
Do you have an answer to that, Professor?
I do keep it on the left, but I think in Renzo's post he said there was never an etiquette outlined. I think.
I have seen this. What Miguel said. I've seen or heard people explain that it was.
Like from samurai culture.
It's just like I think not just your sword, but if you lost your sword in battle, like then you have a smaller.
The katana. If you lose your katana, you have the smaller one, the one you commit suicide with.
So, that's what we've heard. Who knows? I would love to hear it from Renzo.
I have one question.
You know the line, Milton. When you've probably heard when people were coming up, they're like, I heard BJJ is really tough. Like, what if a guy pulls a knife? And I'd always say, run, man.
But you know what? My wife says that to this day. We're in, I say this to her a lot because, we're in Florida and it's a, concealed carry state. I call it the Wild West down here. Everybody's, I've had people at work that you don't even expect to be like, yeah, look, and they pull up they've got a piece in their belt. And you know, I tell my wife all the time, she'll be like, but you do jiu-jitsu. I go, yeah, but I'm not bulletproof.
Yeah.
So I started to carry maybe 5 years ago. Not because I wanted, really, actually, like I got I did the class that you have to go to around the Parkland shooting down here. I lived one town over from Parkland. My niece and nephew would have gone to that school if they weren't enrolled in private school. At least my niece would have still been in school. And their neighbor across the street from my sister's neighbor, the daughter was in one of the classrooms. She actually wound up committing suicide later. Lots of family problems and problems from the shooting. So it definitely affected us, the community. But I started carrying because of that. I don't want to carry. I grew up with my dad was a cop. I never touched a gun until I came to Florida. My first coach took me shooting, but never had a gun, never wanted a gun. It was never even a thought in my mind. But for my wife, I tell her I'm not bulletproof, jiu-jitsu is not bulletproof. So same thing, like walk the other way. I get into very few confrontations with anyone. I'm always smiling. There's a problem over there. I'm over there, but I carry because I have to, but
run foo.
Yeah,
run foo.
Yes, run, right.
Run foo.
Knowing how to do it,
and if they're chasing you, it goes into gun foo.
Yeah,
it's valuable knowing how to do it and when to do it.
Hey, what was your? Bo had a question.
I did.
Yeah, well, what is?
Hold on 1 second, Professor. You were going to say something?
No, I was about to say the other one that they tell you is, what if 12 people run at you? I go, well, you're probably going to get beat up.
Yeah.
Try and make friends.
That's Steven Seagal in the movies.
Yeah, right.
You know what I think will work just from ingrained childhood? Just go time out real quick, and that should buy you enough time because they'll freeze.
Wait, guys.
Time out.
And then just run.
You got any naked pictures of your girlfriend?
You want some?
Want some?
Bo, did you have a question, or were you going to say something?
Yes, I wanted to ask, what high school did you go to?
John Bound.
Dude, we know each
You're
other from when we
53?
were younger.
You're 53?
Yeah.
And and Professor
No,
is
I'm
53?
55.
Oh, you're 55, so you would have been a little older. What?
John Bound, Bo?
But no, half of my friends went to John Bound. I went to Holy Cross. I went to PS22, junior high school 189. I was in Flushing.
I was like, you might have beat me up a few times.
We know each
They
other.
went to the same karate school.
We know each other from
Mill, you have to say to him right now, right? So he'll know what I mean when you say this. So you hung out on Franny Lou?
Yes. Yes. 100%.
He's got a headset on. He can hear you.
Yeah,
Years ago,
100%,
Milton, where Holy Cross is, it's a boulevard called Francis Lewis Boulevard.
That was our strip.
Yeah, and kids would hang out there all night and ride up and down the strip and like double
We used to hang out by Carvel.
Yeah, do you remember the accident that happened there? And then
there was
the gentleman. There was a gentleman that lived on Francis Lewis and just got tired of it, so he came out and he poured oil all on the street. And this kid came down with his car, lost control, went right. I think it was a tree and died. And then they went down like totally like you just couldn't hang out there anymore.
Oh, they started to come down on everybody, but that was our strip. That
Bo,
was
you know so many of our guests or have been in some type of their orbit, and we still can't get him on the mat.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this
all the boxes.
2023 is the year we're gonna get Bo. I told Bo way back. I said I want him to be my first blue, or I said I want you to be my first white belt. But I would love for you to train with us. And you're far away, but we come here so much. We got to like bring some mats. Start showing him some basics.
In a short 10 years, you'd even have a cool nickname. You could be like, oh, that's Black Belt Bo. Triple B, baby.
All right.
Black Belt.
Professor, listen, thank you. I really, truly mean this. I know I say this. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We had a ball. Thank you for doing this again. Don't hang up because we're going to come take some pictures, but we very much appreciate you. I love what you guys are doing with the Happy Pill Project. Anything that we could do to help, repost, tag us, please. We'd be happy to help. Yeah. We'll put this out. It's usually about 7 to 10 days after we record. We'll put it out. So be in a couple of weeks. I'll tag you. I'll let you know. I'll send you a text. We'll also, like after that, a few weeks after that, we cut a lot of little promo videos and we start putting those out as well. So there'll be lots of little stuff that we can share and we'll tag you in. But again, thank you so much. Appreciate you. I was so excited for this episode. Thank you so much.
Hold on. Do you got anybody you got a shout out or anything like that?
Have a second. I'm sorry.
And like any sponsors or anybody?
Any shout outs? Anybody you want to mention that we haven't already?
No, guys. No, I appreciate. I mean, the only thing I'd like to say is if you're visiting New York, please come take the class at Renzo Gracie. It's really welcoming. And I'd love to have you introduce yourself.
Thank you.
It's a great environment, and you can tell me the level you are. I don't let anybody get beat up. If you tell me you're a blue belt, I'll pay you with the right people, but I'm very protective of people to visit. So never feel intimidated if you're visiting New York. Please stop by Renzo Gracie Academy. It's the headquarters of Mecca. It's the blue basement.
We know it. We know it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Again, don't hang up, but we appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you to Neutral Zone CBD, a combat family-owned company that supports athletes and the people who love them. Neutral Zone strives to deliver clean CBD products for sports recovery in gummies, lotions, balms, roll-ons, and more. After a competition, a hard rolling session, or a tough day on the job, Neutral Zone has a product designed to help you reduce inflammation, increase cell rejuvenation, and may even help with aging joints. Visit NeutralZoneCBD.com and get 25% off your order with code JJD. And follow them on Instagram too, at MyNeutralZone. Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box has now joined the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. The BJJ Box is delivered to your door filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and more. The crew at the BJJ Box find the best in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. Each box includes 4 to 7 items you're going to love. Visit thebjjbox.com and use code JJD10 to get $10 off your very first box. And give them a follow on Instagram at thebjjbox. Neutral Zone is combat family owned, so they know you need to keep yourself and your equipment clean. They created Neutral Zone Clean wipes and sprays for just that purpose. Neutral Zone products are formulated to reduce the risk of bacterial and fungal infections. Whatever's making you sweat, weight training, rolling on the mats, yard work, or just working around the house, Neutral Zone Clean wipes and sprays can make you feel and smell refreshed. Use code JJD to get 15% off your online order at NeutralZoneClean.com. While you're there, sign up for their newsletter to receive the latest info and updates on product launches like their new shower gel and soap bar coming soon. Are you Neutral Zone Clean? Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible Nogi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
Very cool. What'd you think?
Yeah, that was dope.
Right? Awesome, right?
We always have good guests. He's just another great guest.
He's an amazing mind. Just the way that he looks at jiu-jitsu. I know we said that about other guests, but if you watch his stuff and you see like how detail-oriented he is with everything, more than probably anyone that I've seen online or in tutorial, next to Danaher.
He was Johnny Zuki. Come on.
Right, to see him the way he is
could you imagine
Danaher-esque. And I mean that in the best sense.
He's got that influence.
He didn't talk about it, but have you heard Danaher explaining a move when he's on top of somebody? He's there for 20 minutes. So could you imagine how many of those 20 minutes he's been there just with the arm up. He's just got his arm up now take a look at the position of his wrist. You see how it's slightly cocked? He has no leverage in this direction.
Great Danaher impression. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Milton Campbell.
And of course, I end up having grown up.
Dude, you guys were karate buddies.
If that's not the universe telling you something, as far as you got to train,
black belt.
I think 2023 is your. I
have to say this: I am really attracted to Krav Maga.
Sorry.
Krav Maga.
I've been watching Krav Maga videos, and I'm really attracted to Krav Maga.
I like sci-fi movies too.
I really do.
We'll have that conversation off camera.
That's a clip, by the way.
There you go. Mark that time. So
the time.
thank you, everybody, for watching and listening today. Don't forget, if you purchase anything from any of our sponsors that we've mentioned today, send a proof of purchase. Send us your receipt via Instagram at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies. And we're going to enter you into our giveaway, our $250 giveaway.
Info at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies.
Excuse me?
Or info at Jiu-Jitsu.
They can also send it to info@jiu-jitsudummies.com.
You can DM it to me.
Again, or instant message on Instagram. And you'll win up to $250 worth of jiu-jitsu swag. And that will include our Nogi kit, our Peace Love Jiu-Jitsu, rash guard, and Nogi shorts. I am Uncle Milty on Instagram. Uncle Milty BJJ on Instagram.
Oh, I thought it might have been Uncle Milty race car driver.
No, let's start that over. At Uncle Milty BJJ on Instagram.
JJD _ DJJ69.
Bo?
At BADWERKS Bad Works.
That works. Hey, man.
Beautiful.
From Flushing, New York.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching and listening, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Peace, love, jiu-jitsu.
Oh, it's this jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I was going to go,